Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. Daddy, with the latest WWE edition of your favorite professional wrestling podcast. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here to break down everything that happened in WWE over the last week, as the company is 1 month away from WrestleMania 42. We have an absolute ton to cover from Friday Night SmackDown and Monday Night Raw, all on this episode. WrestleMania matches have been made, others have advanced, and other storylines are progressing in unexpected manners. But vintage Chris Vanini and the Silver King Adam Silverstein will be here to break it all down for you with 2+ hours of performance-enhancing audio for your ear holes. As we get into the show, however, allow the Silver King off the top to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about Defy.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King for Vintage and Getting Over in totality. Head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. And as we mentioned a week ago, we've had a ton of 5-star reviews recently. We're spacing them out. We're going to get to 2 of them today. Trey132 gave us 5 stars. He said, still the best podcast in the world. You guys keep me company while I'm running every week. I'm not ashamed to say there are lots of times I'm more excited to listen to you guys than to watch the actual wrestling. This show means a lot to me, and I'm sure lots of other listeners, and I just wanted to make sure you guys know how much it means to all of us. Well, shit, man, that is nice of you to say. It means a lot to us that we mean a lot to you. I promise you that. He continues, I do have a question, though. Since SK and Vintage are essentially a tag team, I want to know how you would book your eventual split. Who turns on who? Who's the heel? And kayfabe, of course. I hope this show never ends. So I think the expectation from listeners would be that I turn on Vintage and play the heel role, considering I already heel it up sometimes on purpose anyway. After all,
this is my show. My show.
So the way I would book it would be to do the exact opposite and subvert expectations. Chris does a hostile takeover of the show. He puts me firmly on the face side. He takes over hosting for a couple months. All of you realize the show is nowhere near as good anymore, and I have to come back and reclaim my throne. That is the storyline that I would run on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Back to the reviews. Ryan C. Dudley left us a review on our Slack after dropping 5 stars on Spotify. He asked that we read this. He said, I've been listening since WrestleMania 38, originally tuning in for Raheem's return, Bianca's match, and the RK Bro title defense, and finding this show was one of the best decisions I've made. SK, this is hands down the best wrestling podcast of all time. Even before I knew what you guys looked like, you felt like family. Your show got me through some tough, depressed days and kept me hyped during long 11 to 12 hour shifts at Amazon. I even watch Raw and SmackDown just so I can hear you guys give it a review afterward, and I still do. The breakdowns are top notch. I love how you call out the moves. I've actually learned so much from listening. The sound drops are legendary, especially...
Now go home and smoke some more crack.
And...
that is one big pile of shit.
For the Hey Now Championship, it might be cool to add a referee count, 1, 2, 3 before the bell, just a suggestion. Vintage, I appreciate your perspective too. You say a lot of what I'm thinking when I watch, and I respect how calm and logical you stay. I could go on forever, but I'll end with this. Thank you for what you do. I love you guys like family. I acknowledge you. Look, we are looking for ways to enhance the Hey Now Championship defenses for sure. Just haven't really had time to do it. Moving from the NFL and Super Bowl college football season now into, March Madness is happening and just everything's crazy in my life. So we're trying to boost up this show as much as we possibly can. But we will look to enhance the audio elements of the Hey Now Championship. Other than that, appreciate everything you said, Ryan C. Dudley and Trey132. We acknowledge you.
Acknowledge.
Big acknowledgement right there.
Acknowledge.
Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. We give you episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments for the show. On YouTube, when you subscribe there, you can listen to the podcast and you can watch full-length video interviews. We do expect to have some more on the road to WrestleMania 42 across the board. Wherever you want to follow us on social media, make sure you are doing it at Getting Overcast. Now, Vintage is going to join the show momentarily. Our taping schedule here on Tuesday was a little mucked up compared to how early we normally get on and record the program. So let me give you a brief overview about my thoughts on SmackDown and Raw, and then we'll bring Vintage in for the main event, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and of course, the rest of the show. At this point, I am of the belief that SmackDown borrowed Raw's creative writing team for the first couple of months of 2026, because Friday nights, for me at least, are back to being total dog shit. The women's division booking is abhorrent. The tag teams are on the show suddenly during the road to WrestleMania, but they're not doing much of anything. MFT and Wyatt 6 is still happening. We didn't even get a palate cleanser with the United States Open Challenge this week. Now, there were some bright spots on Friday night, as always, but it was a dreadful 3 hours of wrestling television, particularly when you compare it to NXT and Raw, which was outstanding Monday night. Either the best episode of 2026 or at least the most perfectly executed one. There was even a Maxine Dupree Natty match that if you didn't love it, which I didn't love it, you at least can admit it was handled properly. And the crowd in San Antonio on Monday night blew away Phoenix on Friday night. Sold out, 15,000 fans, and they were loud. It was a hell of a Raw, a seriously disappointing SmackDown other than a couple of segments. And that is now 2 weeks in a row that's been the case. This road to WrestleMania is only getting tighter. We are 1 month away from WWE's biggest show of the year. And there are multiple storylines on SmackDown right now where you can only scratch your head and wonder what the hell they are doing, because it is not working, especially when you compare it to what's happening Monday night on Raw. Since we do have a brief moment before Vintage joins us, let me also remind you here at Getting Over,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well, $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show. You're going to want those on the road to WrestleMania, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Support us. We know that things are expensive these days, and you guys have all these streaming subscriptions. We get it. We're trying to save you money on those subscriptions. We'll tell you about that later in the program. But if you support us, we will continue delivering performance-enhancing audio to your ear holes, and you get some additional content as well. Okay, Vintage is here, and there is no time to waste. We are going to break down everything that happened in the world of WWE this week, and we're going to kick it off, as we always do, by sliding into the main event.
This is the main event.
And Getting Over for you this week has not a single or a double, a triple main event. Rare to get that here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Drew McIntyre, wearing all black, stormed to the ring, jumped atop the announce table at the opening of SmackDown, blaming Nick Aldis for giving Cody Rhodes a WWE Championship match and demanding he make it right. Aldis criticized McIntyre for playing the victim, saying the match was fair. He headbutted a referee during it. He only has himself to blame. McIntyre called Rhodes a corporate champion and referred to Aldis as a stooge. So the general manager shot back, saying Drew was clearly concerned about fighting Cody again, given his prior actions. And the fact that he lost when he defended against him proved why he was so worried about it the entire time. McIntyre got right in his face, and you know what he said?
You know it, and I know it. This is bullshit.
Thank you for the new drop, Drew. The crowd was hot for this, but Jacob Fatu interrupted, saying since Drew was only champion because of him, all he did was fix the situation last week. He's the one that screwed him. Fatu dared McIntyre to do something, but instead of acting, Drew just quit. He dropped the mic, stormed out, and then he gave an up yours gesture to the crowd as an exclamation point. While the quitting stuff doesn't really play as well in 2026 as it used to back in the day, this was the only logical direction WWE could take for McIntyre's character, coming off being shoved into a match with an opponent he was not supposed to face, then being subject to the involvement of that referee, then being told by the GM, tough luck, eat shit, and then being confronted by a guy in Fatu he did nothing wrong to originally. If you're McIntyre, yeah, you would quit your job. And Drew having the ability to drop,
You know it, and I know it. This is bullshit.
and the bras d'honneur up yours gesture, all in the first hour of the show, that to me showed legitimate buy-in from WWE into ensuring the storyline and his character was portrayed as serious. How many times have we seen someone in a similar situation couch their language? This is crap. I hate this, whatever the case might be. And it comes off kind of pathetic. That was not here. This came off real. It was not the hottest opening, but when it ended, I found it to be pitch perfect for what McIntyre's character needed to do.
I mean, the quit, you can't kind of brush past the quitting part because it was something, like you say, it felt real. That was the least real feeling thing of it all.
Not real, appropriate.
Not only
appropriate is the word I
sure,
meant.
but
sorry. Yeah.
Like, didn't Drew McIntyre himself quit like a year?
He
or
quit
two ago under the
21
CM
months
thing?
ago in June 2024, but he was gone for a long time. Not a long time. He was gone for multiple weeks after that. It was not an about face right away.
But yes, like he's done this. Jey Uso did it, quitting SmackDown when the Bloodline broke up. And so it was just like, well, all right, he's going to be back at some point. I don't know. It was fine. Like with where the character has been kind of backed into a corner, it's all you could do.
Mm-hmm.
But Drew McIntyre complaining is just getting very, very old for me. And so at this point I was like, all right, he'll be back at some point. And that was my feeling coming out of the segment. He executed it well. It's just the quick title given, taken away, interference and all that stuff, complaining all the time. It's just, it's gotten a little bit tired.
That's completely fair. There were only two options for McIntyre's character in this segment. The first was to quit. The second was to attack Aldis. And if you're not going to do that and build that match, then you can't have him hit the guy. So this was his only option. And the other part of it that I want to clarify why I thought it was so appropriate was that it opened the show. He should be so angry and mad that he's first out there tearing down Aldis, tearing down WWE. He got to drop he's a stooge, he's your corporate champion. But to your point, and I think your point is completely fair, this guy has been complaining for years now. Nothing's ever fair. Everything goes against him. And a lot of what he says is true, that we as viewers notice people making decisions that negatively affect him that aren't really his fault. But he also has now in this storyline done a lot of things that are his fault. He's the one who cost Cody all those opportunities and gave Aldis's character, put him in a situation, I should say, where he didn't really have many other options but to give Cody a title match. So yes, it's wearing on us as viewers, and you clearly, and I think you're completely correct about it. McIntyre is going to be taking a break after WrestleMania. When he comes back, they're going to need to figure out a way to move his character into a similar but different direction where he's aggressive and steadfast, but not just a whiner all the time.
Like, look at him. He looks incredible. He should be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But he's always either winning by cheating or complaining, and it just doesn't fit his image.
Yeah.
2020, obviously during COVID, but he was incredible then. Coming out of it, the match in Wales against Roman Reigns. I want to get back to that Drew McIntyre, but it's tough. It's a tough spot. You got to get him into a different story.
Don't forget he was a babyface then, so it was different. But
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But and maybe that's all it is. He just needs to be a babyface chasing the title. But you need to remember there was a long time where he was getting screwed regularly, and he has been recently as well. But it's different when a babyface gets screwed, and then a heel gets screwed and is complaining about it. That is why I was so bothered at the finish of 3 Stages of Hell, because he needed to legitimately win the title. And he was almost at the cage anyway, okay, but that's a cheap finish in a cage match, period. And then having the Jacob Fatu assistance, it really couched that. He still got over as champion, and I'm glad he held the title, and I don't think anyone who's a McIntyre fan would have preferred him never win at the end of this storyline. But here we are going into WrestleMania. We all wanted him to be champion, or many of us did, going into that show, and he's certainly not at this point. Cody Rhodes backstage asked Aldis about the McIntyre situation. He was told not to worry about it. Sami Zayn came through, not wanting problems, rather congratulating Cody on winning back the WWE Championship ahead of WrestleMania. Sami said he'd be rooting for Cody, who turned it and reminded Zayn, "You said the exact same thing to Randy Orton last week." Rhodes nevertheless got agitated, saying that he feels like Zayn is trying to position himself for a title shot. Sami was insulted, explaining that he said it to Orton because Randy's a legend, a guy he looks up to as an idol. He doesn't do that with Cody because they're friends, they're peers, they're equals. And even if Cody's champion again, he's not going to stand being talked down to. Rhodes said he continuously calls Zayn magical in interviews, and he looks up to him. But if Zayn is not going to look up to him in turn, then all he needs to look at is the title on his shoulder. Aleister Black and Zelina then came through, suggesting that maybe a world championship is just not meant for Sami, which of course made him furious. What the inclusion of Sami is accomplishing for Cody is that it's allowing him to show like an edge, a little tweener attitude that he's not been otherwise able to display because he's been feuding with a pure heel for the last 6 months. It's also helping keep Zayn relevant while playing off his loss to McIntyre at Royal Rumble without injecting him firmly into a storyline that necessitates an immediate match. Though I could see him fighting and losing to Aleister Black soon, but as I've maintained for a long time, Sami just should not be on the WrestleMania card this year. The only real critique I have is that it's relatively copy-paste each week. There's some differentiation in the segments, like with who's involved and where they are, but every time it's Sami interrupting someone, doing a side-by-side standing promo, it's backstage, and he hits water bottles at the end. What about doing something in a locker room or catching up to someone in a parking lot or in catering? These segments look like cutscenes in video games, if that makes sense. Just differentiate them a little bit and open up the backstage area. That's all I'm trying to ask from them.
Yeah, it does feel a bit repetitive. It's still pretty good. Like
it is.
They're executing it well, but it has been the same thing, 4, 5, 6 times or something like that.
Yeah.
Cody Rhodes here looking like Tony Stark with these
a little bit
glasses he was wearing, like very much so. I was like, all right, those are really standing out. And also, like, it's not weird that Sami wished good luck to both of them. Like they're all baby faces and they're all like kind of friends.
Well, no, it was more like, I hope you become champion. And Cody's like, well, you can only hope for one of us to be champion, not both of us.
Yeah, but I just took it as like being nice. Essentially, he's just kind of being nice to both of them. But the dynamic of I look up to Randy, but you and me are friends. It's different. It was interesting.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's okay to be nice to multiple people, but if you are already of the belief someone has an ulterior motive, then you're just not going to trust what they say to your face. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it was all right.
Fatu backstage was complaining to Aldis about McIntyre leaving as he was about to get his ass kicked when Trick Williams came through, mocking Jacob, setting him off. Aldis tried to tell Fatu to chill. He refused to be disrespected, so Williams complained about being disrespected in kind, and Nick obviously made the match against Trick's wishes. When Trick continued protesting, Aldis threatened that there could be 2 superstars without jobs in one night, which was a really smart way to kind of wrap up the Drew segment and bring it involved here. Trick also asked who hired him and yelled, "Where's Trips?" which I thought was hysterical. Zayn talked a ton of shit to Williams backstage for all of his complaints later, saying he talks a lot of trash but can't back it up. He should be embarrassed at the way he carries himself. Trick was ready to fight if not for his match, but Sami said he's there every week and he's easy to find, so it seems like they may fight in the future. So we had Fatu against Williams. Jacob banged his own head into the turnbuckle early, which is that wild Samoan stuff he should be doing more of. After the break, Fatu hit a jump-up corkscrew out of the corner, only to get caught with Trouble in Paradise, a neckbreaker, and a flapjack. Fatu prevented Trick shot with a super kick, hitting a pop-up Samoan drop, hip attack, and swanton bomb with an awful camera angle that necessitated a replay. Jacob interestingly chose to do a step-through shoulder tackle off the apron rather than a tope suicida, only to get run into the post. Williams then landed 2 trick shots to get the win. McIntyre landed a Claymore after the bell and got a ton of heat for it, and he gave a thumbs down gesture. Aldis then came out after and set McIntyre Fatu one-on-one next week on SmackDown. Now, during a regular cycle, sure, that would make sense, but are you not trying to book WrestleMania matches, bro? Like, we're a month away. Isn't that a big match for the biggest show of the year? Ironically, the best part about everything I just went over was the Sami and Trick backstage segment. Zayn had so much passion and conviction standing up for himself. You totally bought what he was saying. Trick and Jacob backstage, that worked as well. But Sami talking down to the rookie like that, it not only flashed his edge, but potential heel traits as well. The match was okay. They really did not gel together. It was better than most of the in-ring product we got on Friday night, which was largely poor. McIntyre attacking in the post-match, that was a letdown to a degree. The quitting part intrigued me, but considering he did it less than 2 years ago, as we talked about earlier, and there were 36 days left until Mania on this show, I suppose, okay, you can't keep him out for 3 weeks. You can keep him out for 1, The larger issue is that McIntyre barely hurt Fatu. He's the Samoan werewolf, a psychopath, and you hit him with a claymore and that's it? Drew should have busted Jacob's ass with weapons, put him through a barricade, the announce table, talk shit over his body, not just hitting his finishing move in the middle of the ring. Now we know why that didn't happen because of what main evented SmackDown. They didn't want to do 2 identical segments back to back. But if that's the plan for your main event, then save this until next week. Don't do it and have it be worse just because you have something similar happening on the show. If McIntyre's attack had been more vicious and aggressive, it would have hit way, way better. This was far too basic. I mean, shit, this guy cost you the WWE Championship, bro, and all you're doing is hitting your finisher. So that was my problem with this. Not the concept, the execution, and them not delaying it just 1 week so they could do it right.
Well, then it was like, oh, okay, McIntyre's back. The quitting wasn't real, as we kind of figured. I guess it's part of me is like, okay, we didn't have to go a week.
It was better that way.
He actually quit. Yeah. So, okay, but yeah, it should have been more. I imagine now we're gonna get Drew Jacob at Mania at some point, however they put it together. I feel like this wasn't the cleanest way to get there. Very convoluted along the way. It'll be a good match, but I feel like there's a lot more, I don't know, meat on the bone between these two guys that they like. Are we going back to who actually hit Jacob or not? Are we just I know Drew sometimes says it wasn't me, but it's been a while.
He has maintained on multiple occasions it's not him. Let me say it again. I'm sorry. He has maintained on multiple occasions that it's not him. Commentary has made sure people know that McIntyre claims it's not him, and Fatu is still wondering who it is, or Fatu thinks it's Drew, but it's not been revealed. So they've said that this is an unsolved mystery on the screen. And the person who makes the most sense to be the attacker, just to be clear, is Sami Zayn. Like, that is the guy that should be the attacker here. But I am so concerned, Chris, to your point, that they're either going to drop it or that they're going to say it was Drew and that he lied, which is not something his character does.
Well, I feel because Jacob keeps going on with the impression that it was Drew, and he's just like convinced it is and moving forward. And does Sami get back into it and we make it a triple threat that feels possible here? And maybe Sami gets the win there. I don't know, but it's a little bit strange. We'll get Drew Jacob at least. It feels like it should feel bigger between these two guys, considering they were just competing for the championship not long ago.
Yeah, I mean, this is hardly the first time McIntyre's been in a less than ideal match at WrestleMania and made the most of it, probably. Yes. I mean, we did it with Damian Priest, and he did it with Roman Reigns one year, and now he's going to do it with Jacob Fatu. And again, I mentioned earlier he's going to be taking a break after WrestleMania. He is going to have a legitimate role in the new Highlander movie. I think he's the third lead or something like that. Like he has a legitimate role, and he's going to be gone taping. Now you're going to say, well, you know, Silver King, Cody Rhodes had a movie to tape, and Roman Reigns did too. They had really short parts in Street Fighter. This is different. That's all the reason why, though. He could have taken the title into WrestleMania, just dropped it there, and it would have worked just as well. But look, they're doing Rhodes and Orton, and there's a reason for it, and we're going to talk about that right now. So we had the Cody Randy contract signing. That was the main event. Orton received cheers and chants. He was back out, Chris, in the black RKO Everybody shirt, not that really weird royal blue deal from a week ago.
Thank you. And he was wearing the blue shirt earlier in the show, backstage.
Oh, I didn't realize that at all.
He did change. Yeah, I have in my notes, Randy's still wearing that blue shirt. So he changed for the main event, too.
Oh, okay. Good note. Cody received a portion of booze, both when his name was announced and after his music stopped playing. I believe I had that. The friends hugged. As they sat down to sign, Rhodes recalled joining WWE and idolizing Orton as he thrived in the company. He fist bumped Randy, saying he was the one guy who had his back when he returned to WWE without any of his family by his side. He wasn't his brother or son, but he was proud to be his boy. Rhodes signed, but Orton hesitated, saying he needs WrestleMania, he needs the WWE title, but it was supposed to be easy. He was supposed to fight Drew. Cody said he knows to expect the Viper from Randy when that bell rings, and after the second bell rings, no matter what happens, he will always love him. So as soon as Orton signed and they shook hands, he slammed Rhodes' head into the desk, low blowed him, tore apart his button-down shirt, threw him over the announce table, banged him in the head with steel steps, and then shoved Aldis to the ground for trying to stop him. Cody used a blood capsule by the table, so Randy continued wearing him out with punches to the dome, and after a stretch of boos, fans start chanting for him. Orton then leaned the bottom of the steel steps up against the table, put Rhodes' head in the gap. Jelly roll, I guess he went over the barricade to stop him. He got shoved to the ground. That's when Randy realized he went too far, it seemed, and he backed away down the ramp. Except he came storming back with a steel chair and slammed it into the gap of the stairs with a 10 out of 10 camera shot that completely obfuscated the fact that he only hit the metal. It was basically the first ever concerto. I bet that sounded nasty for Cody, his head being in there, though. Orton then opened the chair in the ring. He grasped the WWE title. He put it on his lap, and then around his waist. And Cody sold the absolute hell out of this attack. Dazed, confused, bloody. He remains the best in the business at selling a heel turn and looking sad and pathetic while selling an attack so violent that it makes him bloody. Orton looked amazing. Gold obsessed, holding that strap in the ring, bloodstained, the black and white shirt, completely sold his focus and mentality in this segment. This was the start of WWE trying to put Orton on the heel side of this feud, and it's what we said would need to happen. But even coming out of this segment, I'm not sure it's going to work. The fans are behind Orton. I'd say about 50% as much as they were John Cena last year, but by the time they get to Las Vegas, it may flip all the way to be the same as Cena. I'll be seriously impressed if WWE is able to keep Cody firmly a cheered face going in. Orton is going to need to do and say some more truly heinous shit to flip the fans. Beyond that, it is quite a decision for WWE to, I presume, hold Cody off TV now for at least a week. It really should be too. After an attack like that showing color, he cannot be back right away. That's the type of beatdown you do to write someone off TV for months, usually. If Rhodes shows up 10 days from now, he better be out of whack, selling a head injury, being out of sorts, showing he's courageous but all messed up. That's at a minimum. Better would be if he's not back until the final 2 weeks. But that is a risky proposition on the road to WrestleMania when you're building a main event match and trying to sell tickets. Anyway, the attack was incredibly well done. I'd have liked it if Orton showed a little bit more hesitancy between each level of brutalization as it ramped up. WWE, they only purposefully show color 2 to 3 times a year. And while the capsule looks so fake and bright red compared to an actual blade, it is safer and still effective for most of the audience. That's the benefit of not doing it all the time. If they get it right, there's the potential, Chris, for a tremendous storyline here. Let me get you in about the alignment and the segment, and then we'll talk about the storyline on the back end.
So I like this more looking back on it and the highlight video they showed of it on Raw more than I did in the moment, because it happened so sudden. And in the, you kind of heard what Randy said, but you didn't really listen in to what Randy was saying at the moment. Mm-hmm. And then, so when he does it, you're like, wait, what? Oh, I guess we're doing Randy heel. And commentary sounded more confused than shocked. And the crowd felt the same as well. There wasn't at the moment all these big boos. It was a lot of murmuring of oh, I guess Randy's going to do this. It was what? People didn't immediately buy into it. And that's because we like Randy Orton right now. We just do. And he's the legend. And he wants to get back to that potentially for the last time. So I'm with you. I don't see how Cody is cheered going into Mania. You look at all the stuff that's showing up on my TikTok algorithm or Instagram about this. It's all people behind Randy Orton.
09 Orton.
Everybody's like, oh,
yeah.
09 Orton is back. We love that. Even though he was a heel, it's a nostalgia play in some ways. And they came out with a shirt, I think today, that said the RKO Everybody shirt, but it had some red on it, it was bloody. So they're kind of leaning into that a bit. When Orton was sitting there at the end, the way he was sitting with the belt, the smile on his face, I was like, okay, you got there by the end of it to something I could buy into, but I'm not buying into it as cheering for Cody here. I think that's going to be a very, very difficult thing to do. And the way it played out in the moment, it was so sudden, we all felt a little bit more confused than shocked.
Right. It didn't build up. It wasn't like they had a disagreement backstage and then a couple things happened and you see Randy kind of tweaking a little bit and then he all of a sudden turns. It was just like this was simmering inside of him. And as soon as he got permission from Cody to be that guy, it exploded. By the way, as we are taping this, Randy Orton just tweeted live, wrestling has more than one royal family. And that happened on Raw. We'll talk about that in a second. Going back to the baseline of this story, it's really two parts. The first, and Randy said this, it's that he truly hoped Drew would be champion going into this match because he knew where he would need to go mentally in order to win the WWE title for a 15th time. The second is that Cody is still, in some ways, a dumb babyface who took his friendship for granted, whereas Orton heard Rhodes give him that permission to snap and he took advantage of it because it's one thing to say, you're okay with me being a killer. It is quite another after you experience it. Orton didn't want to do this. Internally, he knew he had no choice. It's a layered turn. To quote Andre Chase, this should be a teachable moment for Cody. But he has never learned this from happening in the past. What needs to go down this time is Rhodes learning his lesson from the Cena feud. He needs to fight Orton at WrestleMania like he fought Cena at SummerSlam, turning the aggression up to a 10 and meeting Randy in his psychotic state, not expecting to win by doing things the right way, which is what happened at WrestleMania. Ideally, this match would have a stipulation like that SummerSlam match. If Cody can pull it off, it's going to be real strong character progression for him. Too soft on Cena, learned his lesson in the rematch, and now operating as a new guy going forward. It's one thing to foolishly believe Orton is your friend, despite everything he has shown throughout his career. It is quite another to continue operating that way after nearly getting your head taken off. Really, Cody should be doing some horrible shit to Randy at some point on the road to WrestleMania. And WWE badly needs to show through recap packages and promos all of the heinous stuff that Orton has done throughout his entire career to win championships. Telling Rey Mysterio that Eddie Guerrero was in hell, destroying Cena before No Mercy in 2007. They need to show all of his history so that we as viewers, not really you and I, but a lot of the newer viewers understand this is a guy not to be trifled with. And Orton is not just a challenger in this match. He may even be the favorite because of the mindset that he's in.
Yeah, you can do all that, but do you have any faith that it's going to work in the sense that they're going to cheer Cody and boo Randy?
I don't know, but you have to try. You have to make the effort.
But it's
good storytelling too, even if it doesn't work.
But in a WrestleMania where you're going back to the same building for the second year in a row, does it feel too much like we're doing the same story again?
I think that's a more of a Cody issue in general.
Yeah. But it's Cody versus a legend who turned heel, who was friends with him. And Cody's going to... Is he just going to do what he did 9 months ago at SummerSlam? And have Randy Orton turn face on the night before WrestleMania?
Well, no, that's definitely not going to happen. Yeah.
But Randy has to win, right?
He does have to win. You want the moment, number one. And number two, if he loses and he went this far, then how is he ever going to win?
Yeah. Well, he'll never win again, and he's at the end of his career.
He's signed there for 5 more years after this.
That's true. But if you're Cody, there's nothing left. You've done everything. At that point, if you win your third, not win, but another WrestleMania main event 4 years in a row, you got the belt back from Cena. Mm-hmm. Do you lose it against? Are we running the same?
Are they literally running back Cody losing at WrestleMania and then winning it back at SummerSlam? Is that literally what we're doing again?
That is my concern, and that is only going to make people boo Cody even more.
That just reminded me I really should add another drop from the Big Lebowski. That is our concern, dude, because that is exactly what you said, and it's perfect for this show. Have you seen the Big Lebowski?
Yes, I used to be called, back when I was running track in high school, the older kids on the team called me Donnie.
Really? That's not... Okay. Why? I'm curious.
I don't know. They just thought I was like Donnie, I guess. I was weird in high school.
Okay, that's what I was getting at, because Donnie is not perhaps the most,
Yeah, I mean, it was in jest, but...
Of course. No, in good natured, obviously. That, by the way, that is my favorite film, just to be completely clear. And we do have one drop from The Big Lebowski on this show, but we don't really use it that much.
If you will it, dude, it is no dream.
Probably should use that more frequently because that fits a lot of our segments here. Anyway, that was what happened on SmackDown. But this storyline did briefly continue on Raw. There was an excellent video package on the attack ahead of a live interview led by Michael Cole. When it started, Orton held Cole up while finishing a phone call with someone anonymous, saying he hoped they were watching and that he would see them soon. The feed was purposefully grainy. Orton cut Cole off, declining the interview, saying he finally had a conversation with someone who said something profound, reminding him who he is, what he is, and why he attacked Cody the way he did. Orton said he's a killer and wrestling has more than one royal family. The options for the phone call, I would say, are Ric Flair, Batista, and the one who makes by far the most sense, Cowboy Bob Orton. Another option, though, is someone else from a legendary wrestling family. Perhaps The Rock. I'm just saying. I realized that not only have Rock, John Cena, and Orton now bloodied Rhodes on the road to WrestleMania the last 3 years, Rock and Roman Reigns, plus now Orton, have played the familial angle with legitimacy because of their respective legacies. And the following wrestlers also, Chris, have turned heel on Cody since his return to WWE. Rock, Cena, Orton, Kevin Owens, and you can make an argument for a couple others as well that have been so irritated by him that it partially led to their heel turn. Sami Zayn now being one of those examples. He really is the new Sting or Rey Mysterio in that aspect. Like, if you need to turn heel, you just do it against Cody Rhodes. I did not need a real interview in this spot. I thought this was perfect as a way to just tide fans over until SmackDown while simultaneously addressing the huge news story that developed in the main event on Friday. I also appreciated that we got like a Zoom or FaceTime interview that looked like a Zoom or FaceTime interview. It made it appear sudden and unplanned. Not that they sent a camera to St. Louis or wherever Randy lives these days.
Well, he was on his phone, so somebody was filming it. There was some camera,
a computer camera,
handling it,
iPad camera, something like
remember,
that.
Remember Kevin Owens used to record in the car and send the videos in or talk. No, I think he would do interviews with his phone camera from the car. So like kind of similar thing there. Is The Rock going to come for Cody's soul? Are we going to have Rock and Orton side to side in a way we didn't get John Cena last year? That's going to make it feel even more like we're just doing
it really
a
will.
redux of the previous year is the other thing. So like, I'm intrigued, I guess, but also the idea that Randy Orton needed to be told that by somebody, especially like The Rock, who he has like no history with, would also be a little bit weird.
Yeah.
It could be his dad, and that'd be fun. But again, that's going to make people cheer Randy, I think. So, okay. Like,
yeah,
there's a lot. I'm also a little annoyed. You mentioned it at the beginning. If Cody's going to be out, he has to be out because of what happened to him.
He's got to miss it.
Why do we have
at least 1 week, if not two? Yeah.
And I hate that. Why do we have to have like these main event guys just not there every week? Roman's been gone for a few weeks after being gone for a month. Cody might have to miss some time here. Like, it feels like lazy.
Well, I mean that's a storyline element. That's a legitimate storyline element, though. I mean, if you take a concerto, how do you return it the next week?
No, yes, I'm saying, but the decision to do that and knock him out was an active decision that was made.
Sure, but I mean, they needed this guy to turn heel in a very legitimate way, and like a surprise RKO out of nowhere wasn't going to suffice. You know,
it's just going to be weird because we have Roman and Cody. I'm sorry, Roman and CM Punk on one side, Randy Cody on the other. In some ways, they will be very similar, and as of right now, they're just two singles matches for championships between an old guy and a less old guy.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them feels real. Like, we'll get to Punk Roman, and there's parts of that feel real. This feels like pure pro wrestling. And so does the existence of Punk Roman make this feel a little bit more gimmicky?
Interesting. I agree with the assessment. I believe the difference that needs to be accounted for is they've been telling that story since the Royal Rumble, on and off. And this just started with one singular attack. So we got to at least get one promo segment between them. we need a little bit
we
more
got a
depth
month
here.
and we don't have that much time and he's going to miss some time. So it's like, do they even have enough time to build it up? And we're talking about Cody Randy as in Randy turned heel. Like that is the conversation we fans are having. And Punk Roman, we're not having that conversation. They're just,
we don't even know who the face or heel is in that.
Hot.
We don't even know what the alignment is on that storyline.
Yeah. So I do wonder, especially, I guess this will be the first night, right? We're going to main event.
This will be main event of night one. Yes.
So, okay. I'm concerned about their ability to get it to where it needs to get.
That is one thing that does not concern me when it comes to Cody Rhodes getting a storyline where it needs to go. Generally, it's happened, but 9 times out of 10, he comes through in the end. And with Randy Orton, a veteran operating on the other side, and then you have Paul Levesque, who loves Orton so much, I don't think they're going to let this fail. It still could, but I'm quite sure they have a full booking plan.
We went into last year's Mania with Punk, Rollins, Roman as the more hot main event than Cena, Cody. In part because Cena wasn't there every week going into it, and it felt kind of pro wrestling.
They had no storyline, and the Rock disappeared. That's why. Yeah,
and I'm a little worried it might be similar.
I don't feel that way, but if it does happen that way, at least it's the night 1 main event and not the night 2 main event. Because don't forget, it was real flimsy in parts. The storyline between Reigns, Punk, and Seth Rollins, it ended up coming together real nicely, and the match was incredible. But that wasn't the strongest storyline going in either. I actually can make an argument that even as of today, the 2 main events for WrestleMania 42 are being booked stronger than the 2 main events for WrestleMania 41. Even now.
Yes, I think I would agree with that.
At least equal, and there's a month to go. So
yeah,
that is the arrow pointing up as far as I'm concerned. Let's move away from Orton and Rhodes. Let's move over to Reigns and Punk, as you mentioned. The Usos confronted Roman Reigns when he arrived out of a black BMW about 30 minutes into Raw. They fake mean mugged one another until Reigns thanked his cousins for standing up for the family, saying they did the right thing. Roman then grabbed the camera, speaking to his entire family, saying they should be offended about what CM Punk said about Sika. He suggested the family could go after Punk whenever they want, as long as it's before and after WrestleMania, not the weekend of. The Usos then pulled him away to speak privately, where Jay backstage gave Roman guff for not punching CM Punk 2 weeks ago. Reigns said there's a time and place for that. Jimmy recalled what Punk said about Reigns being part-time. So Roman noted how they all had part-time fathers who were full-time wrestlers. He doesn't want his kids to go through the same thing. The best legacy he can leave is making money and being there for them. Jay was still red hot, wanting an apology from Punk. Reigns said he didn't need one, but the Usos and the family deserve one. Then he clowned the concept of Punk trying to beat him up. If you needed any further proof that Roman is supposed to be closer to the face side of this feud, this segment should have been enough for you. Reigns was jovial, smiling, treating the Usos like equals, talking about doing right by his kids as a father. The tribal chief of old would have been fuming, mad, and perhaps even silent, ignoring his cousins, telling them to shut up from the second he got in the building. Getting an old school bloodline backstage segment was cool. It seemed to deliver what we talked about on Thursday's show in our bonus WWE segment last week. Credit to Jimmy for doing great work here from a personality standpoint. And I do believe a delineation has been drawn between the tribal chief, the heel character Roman Reigns, and OTC, which is a much more babyface version of the same guy.
You mean OTC 1?
Luckily, he doesn't say the one. So while it's on the shirt.
I noticed that. We'll talk about the promo in a second, but the shirt says OTC 1. He calls himself OTC. So it's the best we're going to get at this point.
I suppose.
He did technically imply that everybody else on the roster who's full-time and has kids is a bad parent. If we're going to take that to the, if anything, it's almost like a heelish thing to say, like where he's like, right. But like,
he didn't make that comparison,
right,
but had he done that, sure. Yes.
You could see a heel kind of saying it the same way.
I mean, I could see Reigns in the future. I mean, there's still 4 more promo segments to go. I'm taking care of a family. You don't even have kids. All you have is a dog who's dead. Like that could be a line he drops that would get a lot of heat.
We're still waiting for the dead dog comment we thought Drew or Braun Breaker or somebody might make. Mm-hmm. That's how sick we are as pro wrestling fans. This was It was fine. It was good. Like, we needed the Roman reaction, and it was a different reaction than we would have thought, but I thought he sold it pretty well and basically implied, I'm above that. I was like, okay, that makes you feel like a big deal.
So Reigns entered when Raw usually ends at 10:22 p.m. He quickly got CM Punk booed, mocking him for thinking Raw is his show. Punk did a Cal Ripken around the ring, taking his sweet time, still getting pops. Reigns welcomed Punk to his ring in his main event. Phil said using his government name isn't an insult. His friends and family call him that. But he's not going to try to figure out Roman's real name, which he purposely messed up. And he's not going to call him Joe, because that would be insulting to a real Samoan he loves very much.
Oh! Yes! I love that!
And that actually got a pop from the fans. Punk said he's surprised that Reigns hasn't swung at him. He's already won their match because he's in Roman's head. Reigns said Punk hasn't main evented anything without him, proving that he didn't even close a live European tour as champion. Punk said Reigns was chicken shit for sending his cousins last week, and he'll say and do what he pleases to get the upper hand. He said he deserved to be punched by Jimmy last week. They at least handled their family business. Roman called Punk trite and redundant for repeating the same shit over and over, saying top dollar players get more lenience, and Punk should ask his wife if he wants to know what that's like. Reigns said that he wouldn't have his time wasted unless Punk found something that actually fazed him. So he tried to leave the ring. Punk thrice physically impeded Reigns from departing, continuing to try and get in his head and under his skin. He said he'd pin Roman, split his ego with his knee, and ensure he never main events WrestleMania again. Reigns said he had enough. He called Punk delusional, someone who may be great on the mic and may be great at the mental games, but said he's the tribal chief, and Punk has never fought anyone more accomplished or just better in the ring. He said the truth is that Punk is not fast enough. He's not strong enough. He's a tryhard who is embarrassing all of them because he's too old. Punk snapped, threw a straight up haymaker at the top of Reigns' head, and Roman was on the canvas selling this, smiling, mocking him. Adam Pearson officials ran to the ring to pull him off. Reigns then mocked Punk again for being 0-2 against him, telling the camera how he easily got the best of him in this segment. Now, I saw some decrying this, but I thought it was an absolute masterclass. As long as you acknowledge that Reigns is nowhere near the promo of Punk, and you focus on the content, not so much Roman's execution. It is clear that Punk is on the heel tweener side while Reigns is on the face tweener side, but the fans do not care. They are 90% cheering for Reigns and 80% cheering for Punk, and the intensity level between them is insane, with a month still remaining until this match. This was the main event of Raw, and by the time it ended, if you didn't feel like WWE was firmly on the road to WrestleMania before, you sure as hell felt that way after. It checked so many boxes. Punk fully addressed the government name deal that you and I discussed last week. He had a great retort.
Yeah.
It was the type of insider reference fans actually recognized and popped for. Reigns got the AJ Lee barb out of the way early. They covered why Roman didn't swing 2 weeks ago. He's too confident to get physical over words. And Reigns flexed not only his obvious physical advantages, but the ability to get under Punk's skin even easier. He beat the master at his own craft. You would think simply calling someone old wouldn't be a trigger. I saw that annoyed a lot of people. Punk is 47. He refers to himself as the best in the world. He recognizes and admits that he can't go the same way he used to, and his character absolutely should be threatened by someone like Roman. It's pure male ego. Plus, this was Reigns recognizing the retirement insult he threw at Punk a couple weeks ago bothered him so much, and the tweet that he sent during Elimination Chamber pissed off Punk so much, him looking old and slow. He knew that set him off, so he doubled down on it and attacked Punk's greatest insecurity, being a washed-up wrestler. It shocks me that so many people have not understood this. While Punk largely cooked Reigns on the mic, it didn't matter that much in the end. This was a 2-run home run to deep center. These guys knocked it out of the damn park. The crowd responded in kind, and like I said, the road to WrestleMania for this feud, it is hot.
It was really good. It's hot as hell. This is by far the thing we're all most looking forward to. I can't wait. They've hit so many notes that I didn't know if they would or expect them to. Like, they're really reaching into the bag to pull out a lot of stuff. That's really good. I will, not in defense of, but to explain, I think, some of the criticisms of it, not criticisms, but just nitpicking.
Mm-hmm.
Your old barb doesn't quite mean the same coming from a 40-year-old.
Yeah.
This isn't, I know Punk's 47, Roman's 40, Punk is 1 year younger than Hulk Hogan was at WrestleMania 18 back in 2002.
I mean, is a decade
Punk's
not a
has
difference? Like, to me, a decade is a difference.
It's not even a decade. It's 7 years.
Okay, but 33
it's
versus
closer
40.
To 5 than it is to 10.
Let's reduce it 10 years. 33
I'm just
versus
saying,
40.
If it was Javon Evans saying it, then like, oh, the old
Well,
versus young, like makes sense as a storyline. And the way Roman led into that line, he goes basically like, I didn't want to have to say this, but I'm going to have to. I'm bigger, stronger than you, and you're old. Like I think we were waiting for him to pull out some secret something.
I think that got
thing that we're like, that's obvious.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think that got misunderstood as well, or Reigns botched what he was saying. The way I heard that, because I had to watch this back, I missed a couple of his lines. I wanted to make sure I got them. The way I heard that back was Reigns said, I have a bag of stuff I want to say to you, but forget all that. I'm not going to get into that. You're old and washed up and you're embarrassing all of us. That's all I need to say. That's the way I took his comments. Now, if he said, I wasn't going to pull this out, but you're old, which there was a part in between, which is the difference that I'm making here, then I agree. That's a really weird way to say it. But Reigns also was not great in this promo. He was either shaken or just a little unsure of himself, not on solid ground at different parts.
Yeah.
So I didn't say that was a storyline issue so much as a delivery issue, if that is the case.
Yeah. Yeah, Roman was off a couple of times on the delivery, and I think when that happens, it's when he goes too fast.
Mm-hmm.
And Punk is very fast and quick on the mic, and then Roman wants to kind of speed up, and then he loses himself a bit. The more he stays cool and calm and collected and can deliver those lines calmly, it works better, and that's a way to kind of handle that, I think. I think the insult of Punk doesn't even main event the live event in Europe was a weird line, which we wouldn't even know. It's the house shows in Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Who the heck knows? It's a very, very like inside type of thing. Roman just doesn't have as much to come back at Punk with. Punk just naturally has more because Roman's the part-timer. Punk's there.
Right.
And all that kind of stuff. Roman's always just been in a naturally more difficult position. That is why I think finishing with I am faster and stronger and bigger than you is a good way to wrap that up. And the only thing I would have changed there, and to really push that home, I would have had you have Punk go for the shot. Roman puts an arm up and blocks it. And you realize, you show that Roman really is back and quicker and faster and stronger and bigger than Punk. And it's going to be a bit of an uphill physical climb. And Punk's got a shocked look on his face as Roman blocks it with a dead stare. I think that would have been a really cooler way to end that and emphasize that more rather than Punk gets mad when someone calls him old and he got the upper hand and Roman laughing about it. That was kind of weird.
You kind of bury him though. If he can't even land a punch.
That's what I'm saying though. Like if that's what you're going to do.
But then what does he do?
Really
How does he talk his way out of that? I mean, he's CM Punk. He could talk his way out of it, but then the next week
he has his way out of it. He sneak attacks. He does something like he's got to find another way than just going straight at Roman. And I say that because Roman at the end was kind of like, I got under his skin or whatever. I'm in his head. And Punk says, I'm in your head. That is the dumbest insult promo line in wrestling and in real life. They're fighting for the championship at WrestleMania. Of course he's in your head. He's supposed to be in your head.
See,
so I don't like that.
I was with you until the end there. The reason why that's important is because what is strongest about Punk is his promo game and ability to manipulate people's emotions. So Reigns getting the upper hand on him in that department, in addition to being stronger, better, faster, younger, it's like, what advantage do you have? So that to me, I completely disagree with that last point. The rest of what you said, I think you were solid.
The way to say it is, the way to say it is, I've got you doubting yourself. You know you can't stay on the mic with me or whatever. It's not literally I'm in your head. Like the phrase live rent free in someone's head is a very stupid overused phrase.
It is.
Be more specific, not just in your head. What does in your head mean? I've got you off your game. You're not ready for this. I'm more prepared. You think you're just, I don't know. Just
there's a month still to go. I mean, they're probably going to get to some of those turns of phrases. I mean,
no, sure. Okay, but back to my original point. The way I have it finishing with Roman blocking the punch. Do you like that more or less?
Less. I really like that he landed a haymaker.
Okay.
Not bad.
Sometimes
I'm not saying it was a bad suggestion.
I like to go in a direction. I like to just go in a direction you don't expect.
I did not expect that to happen. Let me be very clear. I did not expect that segment to end with Punk punching Reigns.
I just don't think wrestler punches wrestler is like new. You know, like the idea that he thought he was going to do something.
But when the gimmick
I just like to build people up. My whole thing is with Gunther, with Femi, with whoever, with Roman, it's just like, I want things to happen that make these guys look impressive. And stopping a sucker punch from Punk would have been like a, whoa. Like that would have been, imagine the reaction you get from the crowd, and Punk's got a wide-eyed thing. Like Roman's response to what Punk said about burying the father is, I'm not messing around anymore. And you're going to have to deal with this. And now Punk's suddenly on his back foot.
The tribal chief character, though, has always been cool, calm, and collected, even in the face of great adversity. And you need to remember, this segment started with Punk coming to the ring. He did his Cal Ripken thing. And he goes, I can't believe you didn't punch me 2 weeks ago. And then you sent your cousins out to punch me last week. Like, you're pathetic. How could you not stand up for your father, basically, and your family? I insulted your family. I got under your skin. How could you not do that? And then the segment ends with Punk being the one swinging because Reigns was able to get under his skin even deeper. That it was the linchpin of the segment. You had to do it that way.
Who do you think came on top? Who, like, in kayfabe, who do you think came out on top in the segment?
In kayfabe, Reigns did.
See, I don't think so. Because Punk punched him and knocked him down. Like, I understand that's not what they were, I guess maybe not what they were going for, but the idea that Roman Reigns gets punched and knocked down and gets to act like he came out on top is just, it's a little bit weird to me. That's all.
I don't know. He got blindsided by it. And don't forget, bro, CM Punk last week got punched by Jimmy, and he came out on top of that segment because he got them angry. It was the same idea. It was parallel.
I know, and I don't like that. I don't like
you cannot like it, but it makes sense.
Punch me. I don't like.
I'm not telling you what to like.
I got a wrestler to punch me or kick me, therefore I won. Like, we're in the business of fighting.
I don't know. If you're gonna come out there and say, I am the master at promos, I'm the master at getting under people's skin and manipulating them, and then you're the one who gets manipulated. That's the point. That's the whole reason they did it. But you cannot like it, but it's logical.
I know that's why they did it. I just don't like it as much.
You don't have to. That's fine. I mean, but I liked it, and I believe it was completely logical. As long as you can admit it's logical, that's all I'm wanting from you.
It is. I just think it's kind of dumb.
Okay, that's your prerogative. I'm not going to argue with that. Seth Rollins and his band of merry masked men opened Raw. This is, by the way, the third part of our massive.
You mean the putty patrol? Putty patrol is getting over on the getting over slide.
It is getting over, but I just have no frame of reference for it whatsoever. It's fine. He said he created the vision and will be the one to kill it. Anyone standing beside Paul Heyman is marked for death. Heyman sauntered out completely disheveled, unshaven, only one bloodshot eye. I have no idea how they were able to do it. I guess they put an irritant in there or something. Fans loudly chanted, F you, Heyman, as Rollins goaded him to the ring, saying that letting him into his inner circle was the worst mistake of his life, so he would pay him back for his betrayal every day until he's gone from WWE and the industry. Heyman got angry, saying he wasn't going to come out there, but he wouldn't miss this for the world. He said he's effing with Rollins, who will learn FAFO means FAF5. Brock Lesnar's music hit, the crowd lost its mind, and a feeling of existential dread washed over me. And I'm sure many of you as well. Lesnar stalked his way around the ring, started murdering masked men, overhead suplexes, corkscrew tosses. He dropped a dude ass first into the stairs, another head first into the barricade. 3 of them ran away when he screamed at them. After taking out the final 3 in the ring with German suplexes and an F5, he went face to face with Rollins. Holy shit chants rang out. But the light shut out and Femi's music hit to a monstrous pop and perfect chants from the crowd. First, huh, then Oba with huh as punctuations. Lesnar,
the loudest we've ever heard it.
Ever.
Incredible.
Lesnar sold his ass off facially, not the Keith Lee treatment, but actual intimidation. He backed up into the corner. When they faced off, Rollins approached him, which was enough of a distraction for Oba to lift Brock like he was a child and hit a Massive fall from grace. Lesnar again sold his ass off, trying but failing to lift his body as Femi put a foot on his chest, pointed at the WrestleMania sign, and straight up screamed.
Big meaty man slapping meat. That's what I want. Oh, we got two big meaty men bumping me tonight.
Reinforce the ring post. The beef's going to be flying tonight, gentlemen.
There's a lot of beef out here.
Where else can you see two beef planets like this colliding?
Beef planets, I like that.
This is Monday Night Meat.
He don't want no water. He don't want no bread. All he wants is meat.
I need some meat. Yeah.
Michael Cole screamed, "Holy shit," at move execution, got bleeped. The first of like 10 different shits that got bleeped during Raw on Monday night. Commentary then sold it extremely well, saying they've never seen Lesnar get manhandled like that in his entire career. Perfection achieved. What an expertly structured segment and incredible swerve for fans, both traditional and smart. So difficult to accomplish. Rollins had to address Heyman in the vision. Heyman is too smart to not utilize Lesnar as a weapon, considering Braun Breaker and Braun Strowman are injured. Plus, we had already seen them on screen together multiple times the last few months. Lesnar also may have served as a write-off for the masked men, who are all probably holed up in a local medical facility as we break this down even now on Tuesday. A segment that followed created an opening for Rollins to either completely move on from the vision in the interim, at least until Breaker is cleared, whether before or after WrestleMania, and the presentation of Oba. Holy shit. From the entrance to the intimidation to dropping Lesnar on his back. Hell, Femi legitimately teared up. He was so emotional knowing this was his moment. He was made. The visual of that was insane. You cannot ask for more. I'm legitimately not sure how this could have been any better. It might wind up as the best segment of 2026 when all is said and done. I'm serious about that. Femi tossed Lesnar like he was a piece of garbage. Lesnar looked scared shitless, and he audibly told Femi, "Put your foot on my chest." That is a hell of a generous move from Brock live in that moment. He made Oba look like $1 billion. The fans were absolutely wild for Oba when he entered and exited. Credit to him. A+ to the writing team. The undoubted leader for big meaty moment of the year until they wrestle on the biggest stage of them all, and what has the potential, Chris, to be a legitimate all-time big meaty match.
This was incredible for so many reasons. Nobody is better than Paul Heyman at looking disheveled. He grows the gray beard out a little bit and just adds the emphasis he puts on it. It's always so good every time. I was a little confused about the Heyman-Seth part because I was like, Heyman didn't turn on Seth. Like, Braun Breaker did that on his own. It didn't really quite make sense. I was like, where are we going? And I think you undersold the FAFO to FAF5 because Heyman said it like 3 times.
Well, I was trying to
why we
cut a little bit here on the show. I mean,
he's repeating it, and I'm like, where are we going? And then he slows down as the camera comes closer, and it turns into a 5. The delivery was perfect. On that. Brock entrance was great. Oba entrance was great. Brock, like you said, it wasn't the Keith Lee, like, whoa, another big boy in here, like, let's go. It was legitimate fear. And the green tint from the lights around the arena were reflecting off of Brock's eyes in a very cool way that you could see the green theme of Oba Femi in his eyes. Like, that was a great visual as well. And then Oba does what he does, and it's fantastic. This is going to be a star in the making. It's a star-making moment right here. It's already 2 million views on that clip on YouTube, just as of now, less than 24 hours after it happened. That's how you make a guy feel big again. Cannot wait for this big, meaty everything with this. My only criticism, I did not love Michael Cole here. He's never been the best at the oh my god type of stuff. It always feels a little forced.
Oh, totally.
Because he's a reporter. He's a reporter by trade, and he's always been that. It's not quite the
he's the straight man.
Jim Ross. It's not quite the Jim Ross type of thing. Tessitore is great at it. He's always been really good at the making the oh my god stuff feel legitimate. When he says what when Oba's music hits, extremely high pitched, and then the bleeping of the holy shit live, like made it feel a little bit less authentic. I guess
What's crazy is, so I don't know about SmackDown in the United States. I assume they bleeped bullshit when McIntyre said it. I was watching on Netflix, obviously, internationally, and you heard bullshit. And when it landed, you're like, whoa, wow, McIntyre's pissed. They said, I said this earlier, shit, like 5 or 6 times on Raw, which they don't do. Every single one was bleeped. And it's like, I get it's a PG product. Shit and bitch are so similar in terms of their level on the curse hierarchy, right? If you think about like George Carlin's 7 famous dirty words, neither of them come anywhere close to that. So it's like, how can you just not for one episode allow these guys to say those words? And by the way, just since you called me out on my delivery, I pulled up Paul Heyman to do it for you, okay?
That was so good.
I mean, I'm sorry I'm not Paul Heyman. I'm trying to run a quick show here, but I should have played the clip. You're right. The clip is better than me doing
it. Was great. But no, I like this. I'm up for it. Loving it. I mean, we'll make our picks when we get to Mania, but I don't know. Like, does it feel like Oba has to win? Brock doesn't need it.
Well, we'll get to it. I have a couple of tangential items that we can talk about coming out of this. I'm wondering if you had the same thought I did when this segment was happening. When Lesnar got in Rollins' face and Femi's music hit, I wondered, I'm like, is Oba linking with Seth? Not so much as his underling, because that would not make sense. But like Rollins being his mentor as he recovers from injury, he's bringing Oba along and giving him the opportunities he would get himself. If Seth is not going to be cleared for WrestleMania, it would have given him something important to do. Like he could be in Oba's corner, countering Heyman in Lesnar's corner. But obviously, it's not what's happening. It's just going to be Oba and Lesnar straight up. But I thought it would have been a real interesting direction in that moment. And I was really curious if they were going to align or not at the end of that segment.
I did not think that because we knew that Brock said open challenge, basically. And this was the first time he was back on the show. And my first thought was, oh, Oba's the one answering it. He's been waiting for Brock to be out there for this to happen to make sense. The idea of Oba versus Brock for the honor of Paul Heyman was, I think, that never really.
What do you mean for the honor of Paul Heyman?
To reality, because the only reason Brock and Seth were going to fight would have been over because of Paul Heyman.
Oh, sure,
there's nothing between Seth.
Oba
and Brock.
fighting Seth's battle.
Literally. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
To protect Seth because of Heyman, because of the vision. I was like, that's way too convoluted. My first thought was, we're doing Oba Brock.
No, it's better this way. But when a guy like Oba comes out, when a guy like Rollins is threatened, I think it's fair to think, at least for a moment, like, oh, wait, is he getting his back or is he just coming up on his own volition?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I get that. It actually didn't cross my mind for whatever reason.
That's fair. Lesnar needs to get, between now and WrestleMania, some type of physical dominance over Femi. And I say that to answer the question that you just asked a moment ago. Because if Oba is the one who dominates this entire feud on the road into WrestleMania, what that tells us is Lesnar's going to win the match. Femi over Lesnar is what needs to happen. What you do, because they've been perfect with Oba on his main roster run to this point. He confronts Cody on SmackDown, fights him as the opening match on John Cena's retirement show, enters number 1 in the Royal Rumble, gets heavily featured for half the match, destroys Rusev. Now he's making his PLE singles debut against Lesnar at WrestleMania. That is how you strap the Rock to someone. But what you need to do is ensure that there's a landing. You got to land the meat wagon. I know I just mixed metaphors with a rocket and a meat wagon, but you gotta get that thing into the garage. And the only way that you can do that is having Oba beat Brock at WrestleMania. You give him the 2003 Lesnar push to the top of the card. Maybe you have him win King of the Ring and then go on to main event SummerSlam for the title. Then you have Gunther retire Lesnar in Minneapolis on that same show. That's the move. It's clear. Pull the damn triggers. Don't muck this up.
Yeah, like more than anything, I think I want these guys to have a full-on match at WrestleMania. I don't want it to be a 5-minute thing.
Yeah, the Goldberg
I want it
match.
to be a real, like I want it to be an actual battle where both guys can look good coming out of it. So even if Oba loses, it took everything Brock had to make it happen, you know? And that's okay, because if you want Gunther to retire Brock at SummerSlam, maybe it's better if Brock is on a roll going into that, So like I could see it going either way. I'm okay if Oba loses, but you got to do it in a way that really kind of gets him over. Not just he hit a couple of big moves, Brock hit a couple of big power moves, and it's over. Like, give me a real
No, they need a
match.
10-minute match at a minimum. Like, this needs to be just a knockdown, drag-out brawl. And they got to go all out. And fingers crossed. I mean, everything's been perfect to this point. So fingers crossed that they see it all the way through.
My only worry, do we just have these guys destroy things every week up until WrestleMania? They destroy a barricade, they destroy a ring, they're backstage. Someone is just going to be mayhem every week going into the match, and that's okay if it is. I just don't want that to then turn into 5-minute match.
I hate to be repetitive, and so what I'm going to say is trite, but like a contract signing where they actually get to cut promos where physicality is barred and not allowed, it's probably necessary to do something like that at some point. Also, they're going to need to do one of those, for lack of a better comparison, like Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair segments where like cops have to get involved and pull them apart. And it's just,
we're definitely
the whole
getting
locker room.
I'm just wondering
the whole locker room clears out trying to stop them from fighting each other. You have to have one of those.
You do. I'm just wondering if we have more than one of them.
I think you only do it once.
We'll see, because Brock's going to be there pretty much every week.
Yeah,
right? That's the thing.
He and Roman Reigns are there for the duration, so it's going to be real interesting.
They're going to do something. I'm looking forward to it.
One of the greatest wrestler tweets in social media history was sent at the conclusion of this match. Kofi Kingston wrote, "Oh shit, avenge us," which was hysterical. For those of you who do not know, Lesnar has defeated and taken the WWE title from every Black champion in history. The Rock, Bobby Lashley, Kofi, and Big E. Obviously, with Kingston, it was that embarrassing 7-second booking on SmackDown. With Big E, it was that really stupid day one title change. So Kingston is basically pulling a Jay-Z. He's telling Oba, do it for the culture. What makes Kofi's tweet so great to me, though, was the timing. It was out immediately. The segment happened. I looked at my screen to tweet about it, and the first thing I saw was Kofi. He reacted right away, no second thought. And it was also the way he phrased it, "Oh shit, avenge us," an if you know type of deal. He wasn't going to come out and say it, but everyone knows exactly what he was thinking. This was an immediate top 10 wrestler tweet of all time for the Silver King.
As well, by the way, Kofi and Oba both from Africa.
Indeed.
Like they're like born in Africa as well. And that's just the WWE Championship, doesn't count the Mark Henry World Championship run.
Correct. And I think Booker T was World Heavyweight Champion also, and there are other people who have been as well. But I'm talking about WWE champions. And Kofi is from Ghana, West Africa, and Oba's from Nigeria, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, there you go. So that was the main event, a triple main event. That is what generally happens here on the road to WrestleMania. Little bit frustrating for the Silver King that the women's storylines haven't really necessitated a main event segment, but fingers crossed something like that changes over the ensuing 4 weeks, because Vintage and the Silver King, we are going to be watching Raw, SmackDown, NXT every single week. We watch premium live events too, as you all know, but we don't do it the same as all of you in the United States. What we do is we watch them all on Netflix, because we are all in these days with NordVPN. It is easy to set up. It's a drastically better viewing experience every single night. You get the same high quality streams, except they become commercial-free shows. All you have to do is sign up at nordvpn.com/gettingover, open the app, quick connect to another country like the United Kingdom, open Netflix, and watch the program of your choice. It is going to be crucial for WrestleMania, especially for those of you who still have Xfinity or any of the other companies that don't immediately have ESPN Unlimited for free. I'll tell you as well, Silver King tried to watch a replay of Raw without logging into VPN. I have said this before. I couldn't get past the commercials. I was forced to watch 3 minutes of commercials just to start the show. Then I wanted to watch a segment in the middle of the show. I had to watch another 3 minutes of commercials. It wouldn't let me get past the other breaks that are scheduled. There's no markers. It was absolutely maddening. That is why I'm all in with NordVPN. It allows you as well to get around online censorship and surveillance, protect your private data when web browsing. Plus, one account can be used on 10 different devices. To get the best discount, go to nordvpn.com/gettingover. Our link will give you 4 extra free months off the 2-year plan. And there's no risk, nor does a 30-day money-back guarantee. So improve your WWE viewing, save money, browse safer online, and get the best discount for the best VPN at nordvpn.com/gettingover. We love, clearly, having NordVPN as the official singular sponsor of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Now, we may have covered 3 main events already, but there is still a ton left for us to discuss from Raw and SmackDown, and we are going to do it all in the way we always do, by discussing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, yo. Survey says one more for the good guy.
Say hello to the back.
Don't sing it. Bring it.
Now, continuing off of this Paul Heyman storyline, the Vision later backstage found Heyman, telling him they'll handle Rollins. He told them, stop, don't do it anymore. Rollins' entire game is divide and conquer. You neither have the leverage nor the power. That is why there have been no repercussions for a 60-year-old man getting attacked last week. Heyman refocused his guys on the Usos, saying they need gold to regain power, and they should be fighting them in the ring, in the street, wherever they can find them. Austin Theory was all about it. Logan Paul was too. He also promised to get LA Knight just for good measure. Sensible way to extricate this version of the Vision away from the Rollins storyline, presumably until Breakker returns, if he's able to return, or Heyman perhaps recruits someone to fight Rollins on his behalf. It's also what we expected in terms of the tag team titles, and while it's hardly the most exciting booking, it's a solid way to get all 4 of them on WrestleMania if that's the plan. This was good.
Yeah, it was fine. Like, you had to explain. It would never have made sense for Rollins to go after Theory and Logan, who were not in the Vision.
We said that last week. Yeah.
It barely made sense for Heyman, but we moved past it. They explained it. I guess we'll wait to see if Breakker comes back or not for Seth or whatever that is, but we're moving forward. They're telling us that, explaining it, and it makes sense. So it works for me.
Usos against the Vision was made official for next week. It was not said to be a title match. Hopefully it's not, considering the Vision has not earned shit. We had seen Logan in Theory in a background segment of Pierce's office later in the program. Knight then confronted the Usos backstage, considering their names were all in the Vision's mouth. He asked, why are you guys getting back with Roman? So they told him, mind your own business. Knight said, look, he appreciates family business as family business. He will not tolerate the bloodline returning, because even if he loves them as brothers, they cannot be on the same page if they are working with Reigns. Jimmy dapped him up. Jay refused. This was a real smart way to address the Vision segment and acknowledge the conflict between LA working with these guys while simultaneously having massive problems with Roman that have been completely unresolved. This is the type of storytelling and, continuity that has been much better in WWE since Paul Levesque took over, but has not been consistent week to week. And in both of these segments, plus what happened with Rollins and Heyman earlier, we got that. This was good as well.
And one other Vision thing, which we'll get to at some point. A lot of stuff that was happening backstage at the beginning of the Triple H era that was good to see. This made sense. It also kind of felt like an acknowledgement that we're not just bringing back the bloodline. Like, and Jimmy kind of pretty much said as much.
Well,
so
I don't know, because Jay seemed like he was into that. So
that's so, yeah, but it's not like they're not back as the bloodline right now, essentially.
Correct.
As the official bloodline. And that needs to be acknowledged, no pun intended, and it was. So that was good.
AAA held the first night of Rey de Reyes on Saturday, and everything on the show involved WWE main roster superstars. As such, I am going to incorporate those breakdowns into this part of the show, just so everything makes sense in order. It's going to be slightly long on some of these matches, but the good news for all of you is Vintage did not watch this show, even though he should be. And because of that, it'll be pretty short for me to get through it. So the AAA Mega Championship was on the line. Dominic Mysterio defending against El Hijo del Vikingo. This was a no disqualification match. The bonus stipulation here was if Dominic loses, he must leave the brand for good. But if Vikingo lost, he could never challenge Mysterio for the Mega title again. Dom also wore an updated belt that was like an improved version of the prior title. He took a thrown chair shot to the head, like right after the bell. Ray commented, Maybe after that hit, he'll recognize me as his father, which was very funny. Ray is great on commentary during the show. He got cut open, the top of his head, immediately as soon as this match started. Vikingo hit a tope suicida into a seated chair, wrapped a trash can around Mysterio, hit him with a kendo stick a few times. Dom responded with kendo sticks and Michinoku driver. Omos pulled a trash can out of Dom's hands and then literally threw it at him over the ropes. Vikingo did the same thing. He did a double stomp. Vikingo then put the title around his waist, used it as a weapon, missed a frog splash. Omos caught Dom trying a 619, chokeslammed him, first on the apron, and then he did it in the middle of the ring. He lifted Vikingo to the top rope for his finisher, but Mini Vikingo returned from the hospital. He took his brother off the top rope with a Hurricanrana. Omos then started choking him with two hands, making the dude look like a 10-year-old. Dom gave a full low blow to Omos as he and Mini wore out the Giant with chair shots. Dom added a chair shot to the back of Vikingo. He had a 619 and a frog splash, and he retained the title. The crowd exploded for this finish. Ray on commentary really struggled to give credit, but ultimately he relented. And it was a super hot conclusion overall. The match was really good, but it was super, super convoluted. What I would have given for a kick out after the frog splash and a continuation. If they went another 5 or 7 minutes, this could have been crazy. Mini Vikingo showing up, it paid off. All those telenovela style segments the prior few weeks. I don't know why I didn't consider that an option. Vikingo was great here, despite still kind of paring back his risks because he's a heel roll. Omos was super fluid, did some of the best big man work, that I can remember from him. Seeing Dom as a mega babyface in AAA, it gives us a glimpse into what this guy can be like on the main roster. Again, hot main event, really convoluted, not a great match, but a great segment, if that makes sense. Moving back to Raw. Liv Morgan in a tape promo ripped a Finn Balor shirt, saying her plan for day one was to excommunicate him. She said that she put up with him because of his relationship with Dom, who was not there because he was getting medically checked out again. He was getting stitches. Liv said that she has been wise to all of his lies and manipulations. Now Balor is soft, pathetic, a washed-up loser who was never part of the family, though he did teach them well. Morgan put over JD McDonough's prospects going on his own and said Dom will win the Intercontinental title back. He'll be the king who replaces the prince. She put over Raquel Rodriguez for dealing with her Stephanie Becerra problem, saying she doesn't hide behind family. They have her back, and they are better than ever. This was a really nice promo from Liv. She is so comfortable in that total bitch role. I was confused why she was speaking for Judgment Day rather than Dom. He's the one who's feuding with Finn, but it was explained, as I noted, that Mysterio is rehabbing coming out of that match. Fair enough, but why not have him do a tape promo backstage in Mexico or from his home? Still, this served to tie the storyline together, and given Balor wasn't going to be on the show, he was selling the injuries from last week. It was more than enough. Screen time for Liv is better than the alternative 99% of the time, and her promos remain super strong. This was good.
It was long-term storytelling. Like, remember back in the day, like, Finn didn't love Liv coming in and was a little concerned about that whole thing.
Absolutely.
At the time. So they did come all the way back around to it. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot that was a whole thing at the time. So for Liv to then say, this was my plan all along, whether or not that was originally the idea, there was enough for it to work. So I liked it. That was good.
Yeah, he brought in Roxanne Perez because he wanted a woman to have his back because he knew that Liv and he were not going to get along, and it was only a matter of time. Now, Roxanne Perez is gone. She was dealing with that. I think it was a mass that got surgically removed. She's apparently okay and due back any time. As this progresses, now, Liv has her own battles to fight and so on, but if Raquel gets involved in this on Dom's side, bringing Roxy back and aligning her with Finn would make a lot of sense in the storyline. So that's just something to keep an eye on as a potential move. Vicaire fought Rodriguez in a non-title match. Stephanie's new entrance theme, it sucks. I'm sorry. No one recognizes it at her. Maybe with lyrics it would be better, but the old one was so perfect and fans knew it. It's just stupid. Raquel murked the champion with a lawn dart into the ring post early, then straight dominated her through the break, even hitting a really cool inverted vertical suplex afterward. Vicaire landed her dragon screw on the ropes, plus devil's kiss. Morgan distracted, allowing Rodriguez to boot the champion's head off. Io Sky, to me at the moment, randomly came out, went right after Liv, who was just as surprised as probably everyone else. But then I remembered Raquel kicked the shit out of her last week in that gauntlet and screwed her over, got her eliminated, so of course Io wanted retribution. Raquel got Liv's back by pouncing Io over the announce table before Stephanie threw her into the timekeeper's area. Rodriguez caught Vicaire flying for a spinning slam and nearly got a Tahana bomb, but Stephanie rolled down her back and countered into a really tight roll-up cover, using her body weight as leverage over Raquel's long legs for the win. This was a frustrating booking at the bell. We've already seen Stephanie and Raquel fight like 4 times in different scenarios. And while Rodriguez here was not challenging for the title, but working her role as a heavy for Morgan, it was still an identical match booking. I thought there was a slim possibility Liv would help Raquel win and inadvertently create a triple threat, as we once suspected would happen. But Vaquer Morgan is hot enough in the feud, and they've been building it well. Adding another person was not necessary. Any angst I had for the booking, it was undone by the time it was over. It was another excellent match between Stephanie and Raquel. Perfect finish to keep Rodriguez strong. The crowd was on fire for all 4 of them. They chanted loud for Io. Sky being involved here was a little bit odd because it looked like she'd be feuding with Asuka and Kairi Sane last week. But these 4 working a tag team program for 1 week makes sense. Then you can extricate Io out of it, put her into the Asuka and Kairi feud, and get that going for WrestleMania. I'm going to be concerned about Io's status at WrestleMania until they prove to me there's a plan. The crowd is so hot for her, I cannot imagine her missing the show. This was good.
What do you think if it's Io Raquel at Mania?
I'm not against it in theory, but it is strange to have a non-title match with those 2 when Rodriguez was main eventing and looking strong. And if you do that match, you cannot have Io lose.
Correct.
On that
you would
stage.
you would have Raquel win, and that be like a coming up moment for her. Raquel,
and then Io
maybe
loses
she
at
wins Money in
WrestleMania a year after she retained the title there.
Maybe Raquel wins Money in the Bank later, cashes in on Liv if she has the belt. Like, it could be the start of a big Raquel push potentially.
I would just hate to see
Like,
Io in a non-title match lose at WrestleMania, considering how hot she is.
Well,
it's possible
whether or not she wins or loses or whatever. It's people come up and down. Lyra was up, Lyra came down. If you're going to give Liv the belt, we wonder, do you do Raquel Liv at some point when you fully break up Judgment Day? And that could be one way to do it. I may be looking way too much into one segment on Raw, given the stuff that we built. But
there's only 2 possibilities for Io on this show. Literally, there's 2. One is Raquel. The other is Asuka plus or minus Kairi Sane. Those are the only 2 options for her. So it has to be one of them. I just presume that this is a 1 week, like they'll do a tag team match next week. The faces get the win. There's still 3 weeks left. They build Asuka, which they can rekindle that feud in 1 second. They don't really need that much. I gotta believe they're not going to leave Asuka off the show. So the 2 options there, and we'll talk about it in a second, are Asuka and Kairi in the women's tag team match, or one or both of them fighting Io. To me, that second prospect is way more attractive than the first.
To me, the tag team, many teams event, the thing that we've thought about since last fall, might be the spot where Kairi and Asuka go.
The only thing is they have enough teams. They don't need them there.
Just throw all the teams together. I don't know. And then you have the Wyatt 6 come out with the belts.
And now moving back to AAA for a second, Reina de Reinas, Flammer defended her title against Bayley. This was an open challenge with Bayley's entrance getting an absolutely massive pop with chants throughout the entire match. Flammer was on a historic title run 1 day from setting the AAA record for longest reign. So this was particularly cool because Bayley suddenly became a legitimate threat. Bayley to belly was landed as Flammer ripped off a turnbuckle pad. The champion answered with a really nice draping flying leg drop and a code breaker out of the corner. Between each of them, the challenger landed second rope and top rope elbow drops. Las Toxicas, I believe that's how you say it, both distracted, but after Bayley thwarted them, Flammer ran Bayley into an exposed turnbuckle, hit a second code breaker and a basement dropkick against the ropes with a very disrespectful cover to retain her title. This was a hell of a match. Bayley worked real hard to ensure Flammer deserved her record reign. She got a strong excuse loss with 2 distractions and 2 of Flammer's biggest moves, not her finisher for some reason. There's an even greater gap between male and female lucha libre than there is men's and women's wrestling in the United States, but this would have worked on any show anywhere. Flammer, I believe, broke Taya Valkyrie's record, which WWE definitely wanted to happen. This was a B+ match and a lot of fun on this show. Moving back to Raw. Intercontinental Championship, AJ Lee defending against Bayley. Less than 20 seconds into Raw, Michael Cole botched in the cold open, saying Becky Lynch was challenging for the title. I could only shake my head. AJ wrestled sharper in the first few minutes of this match than in anything she has done since her return. She had a really nice hammerlock bridge early, counter bulldog after the break, plus a standing sliced bread. Bayley countered Shining Wizard, into a half crab. Lee escaped Rose Plant. She ate a third attempt Bayley to belly for a 2.8. AJ came back with a Shining Wizard. Bayley escaped Black Widow. She countered into a sidewalk slam. The elbow drop chaser missed. That allowed AJ to lock in Black Widow on the rebound with an extra arm wrench at the very end to get the tap out and the retention. AJ offered a hand during the break. Bayley hugged her really tight, raised her arm. AJ also raised a fan's Divas title just for fun. And then after the break, or actually as the break was ending, Lynch attacked AJ from behind, running her into the Titantron and the barricade before stomping a mud hole in her ass and drilling her with the title on the ramp. This was a really nice protection spot for Bayley with the elbow drop and AJ taking advantage of it. It sucks to see her lose another match clean, but holy shit, Bayley is a miracle worker. She is so talented, so giving, so selfless. I am convinced she could get a 3-star match out of me at this point. This was so much better than I would have expected. And AJ looked like not just a legitimate competitor, she looked like a legitimate champion. Maybe there's a stylistic reason that she doesn't work as well with Becky, or perhaps they've purposefully wrestled down to save their best for WrestleMania. Lynch's attack at the end was the most aggressive, serious, and focused that she has looked in months. Perfect timing to turn her serious again. She can keep the personality, but she needs to wrestle like this. It was well done. It got a lot of heat. I'm not going to say Bayley carried AJ. She definitely did the heaviest lifting. I'm at, shockingly, 3.75 stars, B+ for this match. Easy good, the match and the attack.
Yeah, very good match. Another reason perhaps it might have been better is just AJ's getting more reps. I mean, the whole thing about the Becky match was her first singles match in a decade or more, or whatever it was.
True.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it just takes a couple of matches before you really kind of get the hang of things. And this was only the second, I guess. It could be that too. But we know Bayley is fantastic. This was far better than I thought it was going to be. Good match, good for Bayley. And I like this Becky that we saw, like you said, the serious Becky, not wearing flamboyant stuff necessarily. I don't know if she's been tweeting about it or not, but I want the serious heel last kicker Becky, and that's what this felt like, and I liked it.
Last kicker, by the way, is one of the most underrated nicknames in wrestling. Like, it's just awesome.
Well, I remember when it came out, everybody was like, wait a minute, is this violence against women if a man wears his shirt type of thing?
Right, I do remember that.
Because that was
yes.
like, at that time, that was like a thing that was kind of talked about, but I don't know if they went back to it or not.
So I did check Becky's social media profiles. She has not tweeted in that style since Raw, or even since March 12th, actually. All she wrote last night was, "Hey, AJ, did you miss me?" with a picture of her standing over her body. So seems like we're getting serious Becky Lynch, and maybe the character has flipped. And if so, fantastic. It had a nice run, and I'm happy to move on for WrestleMania season, but we will find out probably next week when we get her first promo. Lyra Valkyria backstage tried to put Bayley over, but Bayley snapped. She was manic and angry that she lost another match and has let multiple chances slip by. Lyra shut her up by screaming, saying she's just as motivated as Bayley to get to WrestleMania, and she knows they're going to get there because they're going to do it together. Asuka interrupted with Kairi Sane, blaming them for costing her the gauntlet and a chance at AJ in a match that she would have won. When Kairi in Japanese asked Asuka why she was so upset, since they also want the tag team titles, Asuka hit her, called her an idiot, and then said to shut up before basically agreeing that, yeah, they do want the tag team titles. Sane told them to stay away, and Valkyria suggested that they go to Adam Pearce, and get into that title picture. My presumption at this point is that Lyra and Bayley will beat the Kabuki Warriors next week, qualify for a 4-way women's tag team match with the other teams we'll talk about later in this show. That would open up Asuka and Kairi for the EO program, either one-on-one or, again, with a Sane turn at WrestleMania, maybe a triple threat if she turns earlier. After criticizing WWE last week, I think, for dropping Bayley's gimmick, it kind of flashed here, that old version, and it now seems as if Lyra has taken on some of that personality herself, where when Bayley gets manic, she gets manic to stop her and is now controlling her. We've been talking about that. Maybe I was a little bit too definitive criticizing them for getting rid of it, but it did seem like that was the case. Even if they haven't gotten rid of it, it's still reduced by like 80%. Despite that, loved Lyra and Bayley and the Kabuki Warriors, all 4 of them in this part. This was good.
A good segment. I did think the Lyra bit was a little bit like weird. And I was like, wait, where is this coming from? Like, why are you all cheerful after Becky lost a match? It was a little bit, couldn't quite get the vibe that they were going for.
Optimistic. Not sure.
But it was just, it felt a bit random and out of place from Lyra, of all people in that. But ultimately, if we're setting up the tag team thing, it does really feel like, all right, Bayley has taken her losses. She's done her jobs. Now we are going to move forward with a Lyra Bailey push to the tag team championships, which I think would be a good move. And I hope that's where we go.
They need to atone for last year, what happened, and strap up Lyra and Bailey. It's such an easy storyline. They'll get a massive pop if they win. Got to pull the trigger there.
It's going to do great on season. It's going to do great on season 3 of Unreal,
and it will do great on season 3 of Unreal, or season 4 maybe even. I think 3's already taped or something like that. We'll find out.
Okay, season 4.
Moving back to AAA, Rey Fenix introduced Penta to open that show, calling him not just his brother, but his favorite wrestler. The ovation was tremendous. I loved how they had Fenix out there to introduce him, calling him the pride of Mexico. Penta refused to let Fenix leave, basically encouraging the crowd to chant Lucha Brothers. He reminded that they were supposed to team in December, fulfilling their dream of wrestling together in WWE. Penta announced the Lucha Brothers will compete at AAA Mania, and Fenix agreed. Since they were born in AAA, they should team again in AAA. Penta then basically set the stage for the night and put over the Intercontinental Championship with a similar promo to what he caught on Raw last week. He promised he would defend the title in AAA also, though he said he would first wait for someone to step up and challenge him. This went a bit long. The crowd was so hot for Penta that it did not matter. It does bother me that they previously announced and now again circled back to promoting the Lucha Brothers teaming in Mexico, yet we can't even get a mention of them on the WWE main roster stateside. But with Penta thriving as he has been, it's tough to suggest that the alternative is worse. I just believe we can all agree that Fenix deserves more ring time in a prominent position. Anyway, this was a really hot start to that AAA show. It got the fans going. Moving over to Raw, Penta defended his Intercontinental title against an opponent to be announced. Penta backstage interrupted McDonough. He was arguing with Pierce, and his presence, Penta's, just shut up both of them, and then he said thank you and walked away. It was basically an open challenge, but it wasn't listed as one. The San Antonio crowd was even hotter for Penta than most. He said that he told Pierce to pick anyone so he could live up to his promise of being a fighting champion, and then he kind of repeated the same thing in Spanish. I'm going to cut that just to save time. Dragon Lee answered, immediate pop from me of him being the challenger. They showed sportsmanship, and Dragon did Penta's walk. Cool spot where Dragon did a tope con hero, but because he rolled Penta in the ring first, Penta was able to catch up and do a tope con hero back over the ropes to him. They had a terrific strike and kick exchange before Dragon got 2.8 on a Styles Clash. Penta avoided Operation Dragon, hit a Penta driver coming back for a false finish. They did some great work on the ropes before Dragon launched himself with a cannonball tope suicida, their bodies flying all the way over the announce table. Then he actually landed Operation Dragon, his finisher, for a false finish. The sudden end came as Penta ducked a running forearm, bouncing off the ropes with a picture-perfect Mexican Destroyer for the win. I so wish all of you did not have to sit through the commercial break during this match, because start to finish, this was an absolute, unabashed
banger.
Between this and the Bandito Andrade match from Sunday, we got a couple no-doubter lucha matches in a 24-hour span from the top 2 American wrestling brands. The finish here was one of the best destroyers I have ever seen, especially from the ground. While the open challenge concept was a bit of an eye roll, just considering what's happening on SmackDown, it was the most sensible way to have Penta fight a friendly babyface without creating a really tough-to-buy, quick twitch backstage storyline. Penta needed a top-level establishment win, and while Dragon just lost to Gunther, between those 2 matches, he put in some tremendous work and got a ton of major babyface pops. His arrow is pointing up, but he is not going to get cheered until midway through a match unless he gets a character that fans have a reason to care about. That's on WWE. The wrestling is there. The fans are ready to pop for him. They need a reason to care about him. 4.25 stars. This was a no-doubter good, one of the best WWE TV matches of 2026 so far.
Did this feel like WWE and the guys involved wanted to outdo Andrade Bandito on AEW?
No, only because that was not a prominent match. If it was the main event for the title, then I would say yes, it was. But that's not how I felt. I think this was an establishment win for Penta. They needed that badly, and Dragon was the perfect person to give that to him.
Yeah, I mean, the match was fantastic. I don't think Dragon Lee means much of anything, but you put on a great match and highlight what they both can do. That makes everybody look better. It's what we keep saying about wrestling. When you put on a good match, both guys can look better. And that is what happened here. Fantastic stuff. I was unaware of all the Lucha Brothers stuff you just mentioned for AAA. So yeah, that's getting me, it's interesting what is and isn't canon or acknowledged on WWE. And I do wonder eventually when we do the Lucha Brothers, if they're going to tell us the whole thing or if they're going to assume people in Mexico knew from AAA or however that goes. But Penta's doing great as the IC champ. So it is a weird spot.
That response Monday to Penta was ridiculous. I mean, it was just insane. Javon ran over to an injured Dragon backstage after the match, putting him over, saying it was amazing. And both guys agreed they are the future because they're so young. Kofi came through all swagged out, giving him advice as a former WWE champion that it matters with whom he associates himself. Javon immediately dissed him. He walked away, saying he wasn't about it. Grayson Waller asked what Kingston sees in Evans, but he claimed others backstage asked the exact same thing about Waller. Danhausen then came through wanting to join New Day, saying a bunch of stuff from a decade ago. So Grayson asked him, dude, do you even watch the product? That was funny. Kofi wasn't about Danhausen, obviously. As Danhausen went to curse Kingston, though, Kofi pulled Waller in front of him to eat the curse. And the dude and fans chanted, Danhausen rocks, Danhausen rocks. Waller said the curse went over his shoulder. He avoided it, which was also very funny. Danhausen had a commercial break segment as well. He used a t-shirt cannon and he said, Danhausen 316 says, I just cursed your ass. And they also did a whole lights off, but you can see him gimmick again. And also he thought his mic was off, but it wasn't, and it stayed on. Those were all pretty funny. This backstage segment was kind of great. Second week in a row that Kingston actually feels like a whole character again. And perhaps the move is to work some programs with all of these guys in duos before combining them in a big match. What would you think about Penta, Dragon Lee, Javon Evans, JD McDonough, let's say, Kofi Kingston, and maybe if there's nothing else for him, LA Knight in a multi-man match for the Intercontinental Championship? I'll tell you, I would buy that. Javon and Dragon forging a friendship, that has some potential for the tag team division after Mania. And the comedic timing of Kofi, Waller, and Danhausen together, it was actual perfection. It's stuff like this that fills out a show, utilizes the roster, and just gives you some comedic elements separate from all the serious wrestling. This was good.
So much happened in the segment with so many unrelated people that, again, it felt like the beginning of the Triple H era when so many people were talking backstage and things felt like a live show. So I enjoyed everything about this. Danhausen continues to be very funny, continues to get very over. I didn't mean for that to sound like his thing. Mm-hmm. I do wonder at what point does he get in the ring? Does he need to get in the ring? I mean, R-Truth forever was around and not necessarily doing things. Put Danhausen in that match and he wins the IC title. Not really, but imagine he could be involved. Could be something, but all of these guys looked better coming out of this segment. It was good.
They did. Danhausen is the only person I would not put in that match. Let me just be very clear. I said every other name except his on purpose.
But you get him involved somehow.
Perhaps. WWE Women's Championship. Jade Cargill defending against Mi Chen. Jade got her complete entrance back, looked great. Mi Chen briefly attacked before the bell. Got some fan response too after getting Cargill in the early going. Jade caught Mi Chen flying off the steps for a really nice ringside fall-away slam. And then she taunted her with push-ups during the break. Classic heel stuff. That's great for Jade to do. Mi Chen briefly missed the ropes on a tornado DDT, but Jade helped her a little bit. The challenger followed with a Pele kick, sliced bread out of the corner, and her eat-defeat finisher. But Cargill rolled out of the ring and dodged a cannonball from the ring apron. Jade then powerbombed Mi Chen into the top of the barricade, licked her face, hit a chokeslam, and then landed Jaded, patting Mi Chen on the ass while in cover to get the win in under 9 minutes. Cargill snatched a microphone after the bell, saying since the women backstage get real quiet when she walks by, why should she be afraid of Rhea Ripley? Jade said she doesn't see Rhea as a challenger nor a threat, and she's not about to be scared of a person for the first time in her life. Cargill promised to beat her ass at WrestleMania. Then she used Ripley's always on top line, which was nice for a change. Rhea entered somewhat unexpectedly. She was not advertised for the show, but Jade dipped out and got booed. Ripley basically just said that Cargill will be her bitch after Mania. Not really much from her. The only unfortunate part about the match is that nearly half of it happened during commercial. The runtime was perfectly fine considering Mi Chen has not been built up as anything, and this was just them wrapping up a storyline from months ago. For someone clearly rusty, Mi Chen worked well, and she helped Jade look good. Cargill did okay for herself too. That powerful finish, the power bomb, the choke slam, and then Jaded in the ring, she looked like an absolute monster. Unfortunately, Jade's promo was trash, and Rhea's somehow was worse. I have no idea how to grade this. I want to split the grade. I'll give it a light good for the match, The Jade Rhea booking so far is nearly as bad as Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton last year. It's completely unacceptable. Ripley should not be fighting in this match, and unless they change my mind somehow over the next 4 weeks, I'm going to say that steadfastly all the way through WrestleMania.
I give this a good. I think we come out of it with Jade looking really good and strong and everything you needed to get out of her moving forward, just kind of establishing all of that. I'm glad we finally got the closure, presumably, to the Meechin stuff. I thought Jade's promo was fine. I thought Rhea's wasn't very good, but it's more kind of the content of what she said than the way she said it or anything. I'll still give it a good. There's still work to do with Rhea Jade, but this was more of a pit stop. This wasn't meant to kind of move it forward, and it didn't, but that's okay right now.
Women's Tag Team Championships were on the line. Irresistible Forces defending against Charlexa. It's sad that we have to give names to teams that don't have them, Charlexa in this case. After the challengers entered, but before the bell, the Bella Twins returned. Considering SmackDown was in Phoenix, that's where they live. They announced that they are next in line for the titles to a mix of very light cheers and boos, really muted. The champions got in their faces at the break. Lash Legend wrestled with Alexa Bliss like she was Mae Young. In other words, she was way too soft with her moves trying to protect her. Charlotte Flair hit the best version of her awful cartwheel lariat, but Nia Jax caught her over the ropes with a Samoan drop. Charlotte avoided Annihilator, hit a moonsault perfectly for her third straight match, as Bliss caught Lash with a flying tornado DDT. Jax ringside pulled Nikki out of her chair into a Flair boot. Then she pie-faced Brie before eating natural selection. But as Alexa set up for Twisted Bliss, Brie attacked Nia for the disqualification. This straight up killed the crowd. Until the Forces, seriously impressed with a tandem flying leg drop that looked awesome out of the corner, just considering Nia's size and power. Charlexa and the Bellas later argued backstage, the latter revealing that Aldis has given them a title match already as the number one contenders.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The Bellas haven't wrestled a match together in nearly 8 years. And when they did, the women's tag team titles did not exist. And they are number one contenders? How? Why? Also, why the fuck are they baby faces all of a sudden when Nikki was in the middle of a heel arc? You know, when I was pontificating a multi-team title match for the women at WrestleMania, starting with these three duos is not what I had in mind. We were talking about Rio, the Kabuki Warriors, Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, sure, Charlexa as well. The calculus changes drastically without Rio, and it's going to be horrendous if Bayley and Lyra are not involved, though I think they will be. Charlotte is talented, Lash and Nia can work, but the 6 women here all operate slowly in the ring. That's not a booking that actually excites. Anyway, as far as this match goes, there was nothing wrong with it, but the Bellas coming to the ring before the bell was sour. The DQ was immensely predictable. Nikki just disappearing from a boot was weird. And while the final move was really cool, the Irresistible Forces pulled off, adding the number one contendership on the back end made me way less enthused about all of this, even if that's similarly going to be a DQ next week. This was bad, and I got to tell you, despite liking parts of that match, it was seriously close to ugly.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a bad too because of the Bellas of it all. It feels incredibly forced, and you bring them back in Phoenix where they're from, and mix of cheers. Are they heels or are they not? Getting the automatic title change. I mean, we know what's going to happen next week. They're going to have their match and Charlexa is going to interfere.
Exactly.
And we're going to set up the potential 4-way match. I would much rather, I know you want the Io Asuka thing, but I'd much rather not have the Bellas in this. Put Asuka and Kyrie in here. You got a pretty dang sick 4-way.
Oh yeah,
if you want to throw
the best possible match is Kabuki Warriors, Bayley and Lyra, and those two teams. There's no question about that.
Yeah, but I guess you throw the Bellas in there for the attention of it all, okay, but just don't win the titles.
No,
it's just random. It was unfortunate because the women's tag team, the women's tag team division just doesn't need them.
Nope.
They've been killing it. They've been fantastic. It's been one of the best things going in WWE outside of the 2 main event stuff. So this just feels like a random tangent to throw them in here and muck it all up before we get to WrestleMania, which is unfortunate.
This is what I've been saying since Elimination Chamber is they didn't ruin, but they lessened the women's tag team division and feud by taking the titles off of Rio and making Ripley the number one contender. in order to lift the WWE Women's Championship match with Jade. The problem is that is going terribly. And had they kept Rio together and had them lead this match and hold the titles coming into the show, then this would have been the second biggest or the biggest women's match on the card. But they, in their minds, the WWE Women's title needs to be bigger than the tag team titles. It shouldn't be. Not this year, not in this case. To your point, the women's tag team division was the best booked division in this company through the winter into the spring for the most part. Mm-hmm. And they just threw it away because they thought the women's championship is more important. It's not. They're all fake. All these titles are fake. You can make whichever one the most important you want. Doesn't matter.
It really was like we took Rhea, Io, Asuka, and Kairi out of the women's tag team division, potentially. And that is, that is, I know it's a good division. It's still a strong division.
It's still strong. Yeah.
It feels like it's been done to placate other things going on and not because something else just got bigger.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
I said last week, they took away a potential 9 out of 10 match. And let's say the Jade match against anyone else would have been a 4 or a 5, right? So you had a 9 and a 4. And now there's going to be 2 6s. And it's just, I'd rather have a 9 and a 4 because in WrestleMania history, I've said this many times as well the last few weeks, not every match is a banger. There are some duds. There always have been on every single WrestleMania card. As hard as they might try or as not hard as they may try. It's bound to happen. I'd rather Jade have a clunker of a WWE Women's Championship match that goes 6 minutes, she gets a win and she moves on, and have Rio together in a awesome Women's Tag Team Championship match than the alternative. And this Women's Tag Team division, something you just said, even without Rio, even without the Kabuki Warriors, it is still among the strongest and definitely the best booked the division has ever been. But this is definitely a significant step down from what was a clear multi-month height, the likes of which we believed in the history of this podcast we would never see.
Yes, agree. So, okay, I still think ultimately if we end up in a Lyra Bayley win the tag team title stuff, like it's still good. It's not, the segment was bad because of what it was. The division as a whole still better solid than anything in the men's divisions.
Yeah, and for the tag teams especially, yes. Carmelo Hayes pulled Ilya Dragunov away from a conversation with Apollo Crews backstage, suggesting the U.S. Open Challenge is too much of a burden for him. Ilya said he fights every minute of the day because he's stuck between extremes of ultimate self-confidence or total self-doubt, and it's the only way he knows how to live because he doesn't know peace. Melo said he takes shots to make shots, and Dragunov needs to lock in and figure out why he doesn't want to fight Hayes. Ilya admitted that he can't fight Melo until he's done fighting himself. I am into the storyline and character work of Dragunov, but we need to see him fighting himself if they are going to go in this direction. You can't just have him talking the talk every single week. We need training vignettes, workouts, frustrations, him wrestling other people and not doing as well while training like he should. I'm giving this a good. They need to take this, though, to the next level. It can't just be him saying it every single week.
Quick recap, just to make sure I'm not missing something.
Sure.
Where did this come from? Why is he suddenly like totally doubting himself and fighting himself?
He lost not just to Carmelo Hayes. He lost another match on the back end of that. I'm forgetting who it was against, but he lost a couple times in a row. And Melo's like, dude, you got to get your, rematch against me. He's a fighting champion. And Ilya's like, I don't deserve it. Like, I've been losing recently. Why should I get a title match? Which is great. I love that, right? And then he got into now he's in his head about it. And he explained his background last week. And now he's explaining that he needs to overcome his own obstacles before he goes and tries to win a title for Melo.
Yeah, I wonder if Dragunov wasn't like established enough as a character.
He wasn't.
To go into a I'm doubting my character story. We didn't like fully have that before we tore it down.
He lost to Tama Tonga. You'll remember. That was the show I was at. Yeah. It was the show I was at. I saw them fight live. It was great.
Yeah. So I was just like, this feels dramatic. I'm interested, I guess, but I feel like it's kind of getting out of Dragunov's like strongest traits.
That's why I'm saying if you give us a video package and you see him, banging around with people and being aggressive, it's going to give you the best of both worlds.
Have him do the reverse Rocky IV. Have him do the the Russian guys thing. Just like lean into it all and do his.
No, he should do the Rocky part, but as a Russian.
Yeah, I don't know, something. So, all right, like this is pretty low card stuff, so it's not the end. But I was just like, wait a minute, he's having this crisis of confidence felt a little abrupt. But
if you don't know his full background and like his NXT UK Championship reign, it does feel abrupt. I agree. But for those who do know, it's appropriate because he was dominant and winning everything, and he won the title. He won the title immediately after coming back. He was on top of the world, and now everything's gotten cut out from underneath him. So,
which is why I want to come at it from that perspective, because I know a lot of listeners will not have known all that. So that was all,
and that's completely appropriate. It's the right way for you to be like looking at it for sure. All right, going back to the SmackDown Women's Division. Juliana cut a promo backstage laughing at Tiffany Stratton wanting the United States Championship, saying she cannot match up with Julia, let alone beat James on SmackDown. Here's the problem. Tiffy never said anything about that title. They were responding to nothing. Now, perhaps WWE aired a pre-tape in the wrong spot. The clip did start in a weird manner. Or perhaps creative is so bankrupt for this division that they didn't realize they needed to start the storyline before continuing it. Also frustrating is that this match was announced randomly before the show. It felt like it was Saturday and I was watching Collision, where they just put matches out there. Stratton, later backstage, told Julia through the camera that she's coming for her US title as soon as she beats Kiana James. In the middle of her promo, Chelsea Green tried to interrupt, so Tiffy just shoved her wheelchair away comically. Chelsea stole the whole segment in 5 seconds. Now, it's possible the second promo was redone live on the fly, because it was not uttered as if she was challenging for the first time. Either way, it was a mess. We had Tiffy against Kiana, the business bitch. Green and Alba Fire rolled down after the break. Tiffy landed half of a handspring cutter as fans briefly chanted for Chelsea as opposed to the people wrestling. Second time that's happened. Kiana countered the cartwheel Alabama slam with a clunky Falcon Arrow. Then they completely botched something and Stratton hit a rolling senton. Julia saved Kiana only for the latter to take a tope suicida. Julia stopped Chelsea from using a pink wrench and then tried to hold Tiffy in the ropes, only to take a boot to the face and fall into the other heels as Stratton hit prettiest moonsault ever for the win. The backstage segments didn't make sense. The ringside stuff with Green wasn't much better. The match was extremely rough. It was too short too. And protecting Kiana in the finish was ridiculous, especially if you're trying to make Tiffy a number one contender. This was somehow the worst part of the show, which, that being the case, is crazy and unacceptable because there was a jelly roll segment. This was effing ugly.
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
Market 0.
You're right that 5 second Chelsea rolls up, gets a big cheer, and then gets pushed away. I did think about this. It was a lot like Matt Cardona getting pushed off in his wheelchair by Kane way back in the day. I didn't know if that was supposed to be a reference or not, but I was like, wait a minute. So that was kind of it. The rest of it was bizarre and strange. I'm giving it a bad. I was a little confused, like you as well. I did wonder about that pre-tape thing. I was like, am I missing something here? I don't want to give it an ugly because it wasn't like a terrible match, I didn't think, but definite bad.
Tiffy's arrow is pointing down to such a degree that I am floored. It's been the case ever since the road to WrestleMania last year, the whole calendar year. I said it at the time, they pushed her too hard, too fast. She should have been competing and winning the mid-card title and getting built up. They shoved her in the main event. She's a one-note character. Her wrestling has declined. It's the woman coming off of the Becky Lynch feud in NXT is not the same woman I'm watching on TV week to week. In WWE, they are mishandling her in every possible way. It is infuriating. It really, and Julia too. They're just getting it wrong with this whole women's division, main event, mid-card, all of it.
Weirdly, I think Kiana James might be like getting the most out of all of this.
She is, comparatively. I mean, there's no question. Chelsea Green and Kiana James are the ones getting the most out of this. And it's okay for them to be benefiting, but Tiffy and Julia should be as well. It should be all of them.
Right. The point of Kiana is to elevate Julia, but I think the opposite's happening.
The opposite's happening, right. Rey de Reyes, El Original, Grande Americano versus El Grande Americano versus Santos Escobar versus La Parca. This was to determine who lifts the sword and becomes number one contender for the AAA Mega title. There's a terrific video package that not only explained the history of it, but the storylines of all four competitors and how they had unique motivations to win. The pop for Grande was ridiculous. It was a little bit confusing. He was wearing blue and white when he's been wearing the Mexican flag colors for a while. La Parka hit a beautiful springboard moonsault ringside. Original caught Escobar flying over the ropes with a really smooth fisherman suplex. Santos murked Grande with a pump knee, then did a standing meteor into all three guys. Original based a double German suplex, landing a diving headbutt on Escobar for a broken fall. Original ripped at Grande's mask, using it to throw him headfirst into the middle turnbuckle with a fisherman's buster chaser. La Parka then met Original for a Spanish fly, but as they fell, Santos superkicked Parka in the head and wound up getting a near fall. Los Americanos loaded their masks simultaneously, headbutted one another, with La Parka hitting a frog splash for a broken fall. They then battled the Americanos far out of the ring and into the crowd, despite the high stakes of the match. La Parka avoided a chair shot, hit a cradle brainbuster on Santos. He came back with an F5 style X Factor as Grande got carried back to the ring by security. Original nowhere to be found. And then all of a sudden, we see Rayo and Bravo handcuff Original to a metal railing on the second deck. He's looking down, screaming like he's Walter White in the back of the cop car, yelling that he's done and he's stuck up there. And you can see him in the background for the duration of the match. Escobar avoided a flying headbutt by Grande into the turnbuckle, only for someone in a Phantasma mask, almost certainly Octagon Jr., to pull a steel chair away from him, break his hand with it on the steel steps. La Parka caught him standing with a weird cutter. Then Grande landed a pair of headbutts to pin Santos and win Rey de Reyes. This was rolling until the convoluted finish. Original getting handcuffed with a spotlight on him screaming was amazing. Octagon costing Escobar was completely logical, but the final sequence left a lot to be desired. It didn't build to a crescendo that I expected, and Escobar was clearly working hurt. I think he hurt his ankle earlier in the match, but told the referee he could continue. I could be wrong. Something was way off with him. Still a ton of fun, a tremendous result for the Mexican fans. The babyface winner they wanted standing tall, and Americano cried while celebrating afterwards. This was really awesome. It's a must-watch match. 4 stars, A-. Moving over to Raw. Original fought Grande. Grande was on fire at the bell with a rolling kick and an inside-out suplex. Original caught him flying over the ropes for a fisherman suplex, only to take a belly-to-belly over the ropes. Grande blasted Original in the face.
PG, brother.
During the break, it was so loud that commentary lost its mind. Original went on a strong run with a modified burning hammer, only to take a huge loud PK. Grande came back with a rolling Death Valley driver off the ropes and an ankle lock off a missed moonsault. Then he landed Chaos Theory, but the referee was distracted by Rayo on the apron. Bravo loaded the mask for a knocked out Grande. Original fought outside when Original did the flying headbutt, which he almost completely missed. He got knocked out cold because the other one was loaded, and Grande threw an arm over him for the win. Super inventive finish. Unfortunately, the blatantly missed headbutt was a downer. I'd have much rather them be on the safe side with that move, just like they did, don't get me wrong, but a better camera angle would have helped hide that. The work was super strong. Not having the break in the middle was helpful to enjoy the whole match, watching on VPN. This was easily the best they have worked together to this point, and one of the better matches either of them have wrestled on Raw since the storyline got going. The finish was also smart. It did offer a winner, but not a definitive one, so they can continue their story in Mexico. This was good.
Yeah, good match, inventive finish. I'll give it a good. I with the way it's so over in AAA, like, you wonder, are we gonna be done with this on the US side of things and transition it down over there? I don't know. They've been stuck in that weird spot of how do you end this?
Mm-hmm.
Who comes out on top? With very different on both sides. I don't know, but it was good.
Yeah, it's real curious. It's way hotter in Mexico. There has to be at least one unmasking. It really should happen in Mexico.
Right.
We'll find out.
That's the thing. Like, you got to do the unmasking.
You have to.
Do you unmask El Grande in America and you unmask Original in Mexico?
No,
Those are the heels in each side.
The ideal scenario really would be for WWE to do an event in Mexico, not AAA, WWE. And then you run that match on that card. It's best of both worlds. That's the way they should be doing it. But it's not booked as of right now, not announced at least. Solo Sikoa and Tala Tonga fought Uncle Howdy and Eric Rowan. Solo backstage gave the lantern to Tama Tonga so he could serve as guardian during the match. Shinsuke Nakamura, in a suit and tie, spoke in Japanese, asking Tama when he's going to realize that he's being used with promises of family. Sikoa came back and told Shin to stay away from the family or else. Tala straight up dominated the first half of this match. It's the best he's looked since he's joined WWE. I don't know what got into this guy. Rowan got knees up to block an Uso splash. Sikoa avoided Sister Abigail after trying and failing to do it himself. The other 4 faction members brawled ringside, with Sikoa taking out Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis, hitting both with Samoan spikes. When Nikki Cross grabbed the lantern, Solo dropped Howdy from his arms. The distraction allowed him to rise up and win with Sister Abigail. But when Howdy regained the lantern, Thomas struck him from behind so MFT could still leave with it. Analyzing these segments is so tough because I am so sick of seeing this on my TV. And it's infuriating that this feud is not only ongoing, but taking up valuable time on the road to WrestleMania. However, Tala was actually kind of great in this match. The finish was decently creative. And the infusion of Tama and Shinsuke's storyline into this, it's relatively interesting to me. As long as this is not on the Mania card and it does not progress after Mania concludes, I can stomach it for a few more weeks as long as the individual segments work. And this one gets a light good.
Giving it a bad. What are we doing again with you get the lantern, then you're attacked and you don't finish with the lantern? Like, why do they have the tag team titles if we're going to go back and forth with this lantern stuff? Get the tag belts off of them. You can do your lantern stuff. They just did this like a week or two ago where the Wyatts got the lantern back and then they lost the lantern. And we're just doing that again. And it's like losing my mind every week with this stuff. And it's like, what does it even really matter? I've lost track of that because they were battling for the tag team belts. The wrestling was fine and good, but I'm giving it a bad because of everything this continues to be. Don't give them the lantern and then take it back again. Like, why are the Wyatts, when they're out there during the match, the ones that are not in the match, why are they not just fighting over the lantern? Why are they abiding by these like pro wrestling rules of some kind?
Why is the lantern ringside? The lantern should be in a safe.
That's what I'm saying. If they're there with the lantern, why are they the ones not involved going to get it during the match at all times? That's the whole, that's the most important thing we're supposed to believe for Uncle Howdy. And instead, all of his minions are like, no, you have to stay over here on the ring and look at, I don't know. It's so stupid.
That is enough! God damn it! That is enough!
Damian Priest and R-Truth fought Los Garza. The number 1 contenders, with Truth wearing a Stone Cold shirt, were backstage preparing for their title match by watching MFT. Truth said Judgment Day sure looked different. Los Garza interrupted, reminding that they put in the hard work during the gauntlet. Fair enough. Truth had no idea who they were, which also fair enough. That led to a match. Garza impressed with moonsaults outside from the same ring post early. Angel did some solid heel character work as well. Priest destroyed both guys on a hot tag, but ate a pair of springboards. Priest pulled Angel off the ropes for Razor's Edge, then tagged Truth for the double bell clap and double finisher with Truth getting the fall. The whole point of tagging these faces is to develop Priest's personality, but no time is being spent doing that. We're just getting mediocre matches. Priest being out there in the stupid Wepa time shirt, it's not helping matters either. Yes, I'm glad Los Garza got on TV for the second straight week and wrestled and looked good. That is not enough. This is bad.
I'm giving this the lightest of goods because I'm liking Priest and Truth together. And when they were backstage, Priest talked more confident. He's just a better talker when he's around Truth and he has kind of people to kind of play off of or just lean on. And I was like, all right, like I can buy this. So I'm giving it a look. This is, low card stuff.
That's fine.
I'll give it a light good.
Alex Shelley checked on Johnny Gargano, who was still planking on a road case. He suggested Candice LeRae simplify things and get back to basics, so she wheeled her husband away to make him Johnny Wrestling again. I'm glad that's happening, by the way, and they followed up from last week. Chris Sabin then confronted his partner, angry that Shelley is wasting his time with Gargano. Shelley reminded, hey, we all have history. Sabin said he's more focused on the Motor City Machine Guns, having got them a match against Fraxium next week. Sabin wanted Shelley to prove his commitment. Definitely feels like a heel turn is coming for these guys. This might have been the most words they've spoken in a backstage segment since joining the company. Seriously. And with the Gargano element included, I'm going to give this a light good. Sure.
Yeah, I'll give it a light good. It was fine. I thought the promo was good. The only thing I chuckled at was they're like, we got a match with Fraxium. I had to go to the GM to make that happen. Like, it's not like you're getting a title shot or something. It's just a match. Like,
right.
Okay.
And they're friends too. It's not like they were angry at them or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. The segment you all have been waiting for. Not Roman Reigns and CM Punk or Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton or Femi and Brock Lesnar. You've been waiting for us to talk about Jelly Roll on Miz TV. Jelly dapped up R-Truth and Orton backstage, putting over the ladder for main eventing WrestleMania. Orton responded in kind about Jelly's 3 Grammys and told him that he should not hesitate to swing if Miz yaps too much. Danhausen found Miz backstage, wanting to replace the show with one of his own. He did the really, really, really gimmick back to Miz and then cursed him. To be fair, asking Miz to give up his iconic talk show, it's pretty unreasonable, Danhausen. Miz's mic got cut out during his introduction, hence the curse, before Jelly explained that he was in Phoenix to watch his 2 friends sign the WrestleMania contract. Miz wanted to mentor him as a wrestler. Jelly declined since Miz always stabs his partners in the back. Miz called him ungrateful, reminding that he picked up his obese butt a couple of years ago at SummerSlam, giving him the hand he needed to lose 250 pounds. To his credit, Jelly cut a pretty great promo at Miz, standing up for himself.
Yep.
Miz said he liked Jelly better when he was fat, so he promised to kick his ass, fat or skinny. Kit Wilson then interrupted, saying Jelly was the problem, which upset him because he said everyone likes Kit at least a little bit. Wilson pointed to Jelly's face tattoos, criminal charges, and bad behavior as issues. Then he called him fat-phobic for losing weight, saying he is no longer someone to look up to because now he promotes an unhealthy beauty standard, and that makes him toxic. That is honestly hysterical. Fat-phobic for losing weight and getting healthy. Kit shoved...
Which, by the way, in very strange corners of the internet, it's a thing. You will see it when some celebrities lose a lot of weight. Yeah. They will get hate from it sometimes. Like, that does happen. Well, as weird as it sounded.
It's because there's celebrities that, promoted different body images being okay, and then they took a drug to make them skinny, so people are saying they're hypocritical for that. I mean...
Well, not everybody in history, but currently a lot of people do that, yes.
Yes, currently.
But the idea that someone wanted to change their body from what they were, there are people who get upset about that.
So Kit shoved Jelly, but after Miz held him back, Kit ducked as Jelly straight up slugged Miz, who sold it well, getting knocked out cold, basically. Kit told Miz backstage that he was going to talk to Aldis and try to fight Jelly. Danhausen then told him if he was ringside, he would have defended his honor. He also offered to reverse the curse. This was classic, celebrity wrestling stuff. The focus on Jelly's weight, obviously an extremely public change and something that he's proud of. It was completely sensible. It did feel a little bit too heavy-handed, pun not intended. The best takeaway is that Jelly is working with a low-carder in Kit and not someone important. But if this dude winds up on the Mania card in a match like that, it's going to be infuriating. And it seems like that's happening because they're going to do a confrontation next week. Something like Kit versus Jelly. If you're going to put that on WrestleMania, it should be spur of the moment on the show. Kit is out being toxic. He insults Jelly. Jelly gets into the ring. They have a 3-minute match. In order to do something for Mania where it's booked ahead of time as a scheduled match, you got to have something a lot deeper than that. And we have talked about all the names that might potentially get left off this WrestleMania card. Getting left off the card, I know people love Kit Wilson, and that's cool. I like him too. But potentially getting left off the card for Kit Wilson and Jelly Roll is super, super unacceptable. There's no doubt the crowd played along. They enjoyed this. For me, despite some legitimate laughs, I'm going to grade it a bad. And it was the second straight down episode when it came to the usage of Danhausen. He was much better on Monday night, but on Friday I found him really annoying.
Are you giving it a bad because you're worried about Mania? Or are you just giving this is the Mania stuff you just laid out?
No,
is that impacting your grade?
No, I thought they were.
Sounds like it is.
No, it's not. That's just my separate concern. It was really, really heavy-handed on the weight aspect of it. It took up a lot of time on this show. I mean, it was like 2 segments in one, basically. We saw Jelly later in the program as well. And again, I'm admitting that there were parts of it that I laughed at, but in totality, the setup for it, the execution of it, I was just like, why are these guys, why does Miz want to mentor Jelly Roll? And then he quickly turns on him, and then the Danhausen curse was mixed in. It was just 4 things together that I didn't want and I didn't like. I'm not saying something's bad is, it's my opinion on this segment and my enjoyment level of it. It just didn't hit for me, really.
Well, I think Jelly Roll's coming off of the Grammys. I think that he won, and Randy had mentioned that. So that's part of the reason Miz would want to associate himself with Jelly Roll, I think. I liked it. I thought this was the whole thing I thought was pretty good. The Jelly Roll promo was really strong. He's been really good on the mic the few times that he's been able to to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And just hearing Miz say, I liked you more when you were fat is such a like direct, obvious heel thing that really got a reaction from the crowd.
It did, yeah.
And Kit Wilson's still very over with the gimmick. I liked all this. Danhausen was still fun. I like Danhausen and Miz. I really think it's kind of working pretty well. I know he's doing both shows, but I don't know what's going to happen for Mania. But for the segment, I enjoyed it. I'll give it a good.
I like that we've been completely opposite on the last 4. I know they're like the lower card parts of Raw and SmackDown, but it's cool that we're completely opposite takes, despite neither of us being, I think, that strong in one direction or the other. Unless you were pretty strong about MFT and Wyatt 6, though. And lastly, Maxine Dupree against Natty. This match actually happened, as opposed to the other times. Natty screamed to the camera that Maxine didn't beat Becky. The Dungeon did. Dupree did some solid work, notably a fisherman suplex and step-up leg drop. Natty stopped the run with the Anvil's discus lariat and locked in the sharpshooter for a submission clean in the middle of the ring. She threatened and intimidated the referee after the bell, then said into the camera, the Dungeon is alive. Huge rebound from last week. It's the best Natty has looked since the character change. It was not much of a match. It was like 5 minutes, but it had no business being more than that. And as I've said, Maxine never should have beaten Becky as much as she did. 1 win or 2 wins, okay.
You gotta move past that.
She beat her like 4 effing times. She beat her, Chris, 4 times. And then she lost to Natty in less than 5 minutes. That's the point I'm trying to make. Despite all of that, I'm giving this a light good because there was really nothing wrong with this segment and it's over. It's finally over.
Good for that. It's over. It needed to be over the first time. That when they did the knocked Maxine out, that's what this should have been. That should have been the end of it. I don't know why we had to go another 2 or 3 weeks.
Made no sense.
Just ended.
Yeah.
I give it all good for that. I still like this Natty character and the potential of it. They've been wasting it for a month on the Maxine stuff, but it got no reaction from the crowd. My brother texted me it's the least he's ever been interested in Natty. So like I know I'm on a bit of an island out of this, but at least we're seemingly done with this. That's a good for me.
This is definitely not the least I've ever been interested in Natty. I did think it would work better and be positioned better when they brought it to the main roster.
Because it should have started out better. From the second that they moved to it, we should have been off and running. Instead, we wasted a month on Maxine.
It feels to me like they should have introduced this after WrestleMania, but they, for some reason, did it beforehand and just made a mistake. And I don't know that they can...
Yeah, that too. That would have been fine, too.
2 bonus background details to mention. First, Theory and Logan were shown talking to Maxine outside of Pierce's office on Monday night. And then on Friday, I'm pretty sure I saw Jade speaking with B-Fab privately one-on-one, which is obviously interesting because B-Fab, of course, was partners with Mi Chin. Couple moments to keep in mind. I didn't have a major take on either of them. Did you?
I have no idea what Maxine talking to the Vision could possibly be.
It's crazy.
I'm interested in what it could be. No idea.
Yeah.
I'm interested, though.
No clue whatsoever. Now, there were a couple extraneous WWE items that we're just not going to have the time to cover on today's show. We also do have an updated WrestleMania 42 card to discuss. So what we're going to do, and we've been running this last couple of weeks, we're going to do a WWE bonus segment Thursday on our normal NXT and AEW show. So we'll talk about WrestleMania, a couple other straggling items, both news items and on-screen items as well. We'll cover it all Thursday on that podcast. Vintage will join the Silver King at least for that segment. Make sure you do not miss it. However, that does wrap up this edition of the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. The road to WrestleMania is thinning. Only a couple more episodes to go, talking all things WWE. And by the time we get there, who knows? We might have a record length episode because it seems to be trending in that direction. On the way out, allow the Silver King to remind you of a few things. First, that here at the Getting Over Wrestling podcast,
It's all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple, take a little extra time, leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter and Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, highlights. You can send in questions and comments. Some of those, by the way, are what we will read on Thursday as well. On YouTube, when you subscribe there, you can listen to the show. You can watch full-length video interviews across the board at Getting Overcast. And don't forget,
I happen to love the number 5.
Hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You'll get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, exclusive news analysis posts every week. Again, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. That is it for today. On behalf of Vintage Chris Manini, this is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.